The following is brought to you by the Social Suplex Podcast Network.
構成藤田 Listening Keeping Strong Style.
Yo, this is Rich Latta from One Nation Radio. This is brought to you by the Social Suplex Podcast Network. We present to you the Ace of Podcasts, keeping it strong style. Let's go. It's the Ace of Podcasts, keeping it strong style. Covering New Japan, they ready to hold it down. Jeremy Donovan and the young boy Josh. Come and hit a job out in Barrio the Frogs. From the Tokyo Dome over to the G1. Social Suplex is the network where we can get it done. I'ma chill and let them have it, cause this is just an intro. Keeping the strong style, 6 stars from the get-go, boy. Yeah, from Tampa Bay to the Tokyo Dome, this is Keeping It Strong Style with your hosts, Jeremy Donovan and the young boy Joshua Smith. And thank you for listening.
Welcome to Keeping It Strong Style, the Ace of Podcast on the Social Suplex Podcast Network. Jeremy Donovan here with the young boy Josh Smith. On today's show, we'll review nights 8 through 11 of G1 Climax 36 and cover all its news in the world of New Japan Pro Wrestling. Please support our show by subscribing and following the Social Suplex Podcast Network and Keeping a Strong Style on the podcast app of your choice and leaving a rating and review. You know, all networks podcast over and newsletter over at socialsuplex.com. If you enjoy this podcast, please consider making a one-time or monthly donation by visiting socialsuplex.com/donate and click on the donate button under the Keeping It Strong Style logo. And we are streaming live right now on patreon.com/KI Strong Style. If you want to watch our show live or listen without ads, sign up at patreon.com/KI Strong Style. Young boy, how you doing, man?
We are covering nights 8 through 11 of G1 Climax this week. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
So, you know, this is often where people affectionately refer to those as the the dog days, or they talk about them being a slog. I call them the slog days, and I'm myself feeling a little sluggish. It's been a busy week, not just with New Japan, but with life, and so we'll try to keep the energy high this week. But I'm not necessarily, we'll get through it together with the Power Pro Resu is all I'm saying.
Yeah, how's everything coming with the new place?
There's always something to do. Like it's the never-ending story.
Yeah.
The nice thing though is I was able to get a palate cleanser this weekend. Nights 1 and 2 of SummerSlam in Minneapolis. SummerSlam Saturday and Sunday. Those were just a comfort and a joy, just refreshing to see some real professional wrestling.
The hottest party of the summer. Did they still call it that?
Bro, I don't know. I was watching the show and Chelsea Green won the ladder match, which honestly, and I mean this in this is no cap. It was a generally pretty, it might be the best women's multi-women TLC style, MITB ladder in the whatever you want to call it, women's ladder match.
Yeah,
might be one of the better ones I've ever seen. There's just there's a lot of logistical issues when it comes to women doing that match in a meaningful way. And this was one of the better ones, but I swear to God, I was Chelsea Green, didn't she get fucking fired? I didn't even know that she still wrestled for this company and she won the title. I'm I didn't know what was going on half the time. I didn't know who was a heel or a face, and I couldn't figure it out through the course of the match either. It felt like a lot of Hogan Warriors going on a lot of the time. I think they probably adopted New Japan style of tweeners, face and heel alignments. They're grayer than they used to be, which is good. So,
well, it's not about face or heel. It's about moments.
It's true. There was there was a fucking lot of moments.
It's about sponsorships.
There's one moment where we're watching it and my wife was these are some big fucking sponsors. They're making a lot of money. And I was yeah, but New Japan, we got Zima, Lawson's.
Let's go.
TV Acai. I don't know what else is on the shit. 7-Eleven. Who knows?
Yeah.
I don't even know if they still have Zima on there.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I feel like there's a lot more logos on there lately, it seems like.
It's a damn shame that we never had any Zima when we were in Japan.
Yeah. We did have was it the I-96 and I-98, whatever that gimmick is? The vodka seltzer.
What? Are you just talking about Strong Zeros?
Yeah. Isn't there like is it a different brand or whatever it's called over there?
Oh, bro, I don't know. I couldn't. It's gonna sound dismissive, but like I couldn't understand the labeling of a lot of the shit that we ate over there. I didn't know what I was eating like half the time. The only thing is, I do remember before we went to New Year Dash, because they were like the different Strong Zeros. There are like different brands and shit.
Yeah.
And there's different percentages of the alcohol. And there was one that we found, and I never saw it before or after. It was only, in Ota City. And it was like 40% alcohol. Most of them are between like the 5 to 11 range, which, 11's really high. There was one that was like just 40, like out of nowhere. And I was like, is this real? Like, I couldn't tell if we were misunderstanding something. I'm like, there's no way they made a seltzer, like a vodka seltzer, whatever this is, like soju, that's 40%. Like, that's crazy. I didn't buy it either. I guess that was probably a good decision.
Yeah, that probably a good move there. Well, Josh, it is the first show of August, which means we got to do the July match of the month and wrestler of the month. And we haven't really talked about it, but I'm pretty confident in what I have laid out here for the choices. I'll see if you agree.
I saw your choices, and I agree wholeheartedly with them, and I didn't feel any need to discuss further or to verify whether it was in fact accurate. So, once again, Jeremy, you've been known amongst the social suplex, whatever you want to call us, those who are in the social suplex, like what are we called? What
social
is this
suplexers?
Yeah, us. The January Sixers, the social suplexers.
Whoa.
There are those who consider you to be an accurate, fair, unbiased, and accurate match rater. And I have to say, I probably concur this time. Not always, but this time.
Yeah, I think there's one match that my rating's probably going to throw it out the window and we'll get into it. But yeah, I think we were, based off of the review, I think we were pretty much on the same page for both of these. So, Josh, tell the people our match of the month.
Yeah, so the match of the month, without further ado, Sonata and Jake Lee coming out of left field. What can I say? When he tied that man up to that guardrail, something about the nostalgia there, the Yanoism of it all, it just tugged on our heartstrings. So y'all said you wanted 2010's New Japan back. Well, here you go. Here's the 2010's G1 New Japan. Motherfucker getting tied up to the guardrail and counted out. Let's go. That is a joke, obviously. The match of the month from night one in Chicago, the main event. Yota Tsuji beating that AEW trash.
Let's
bitch
go.
ass
Yes.
humbling that man once again, twice in a year. Fuck it, Takeshita. You will never win.
Tapped him out.
Which is why I got the bonus points.
Yeah. Tapped him out the first time. Ate a fire blaster second time.
It wasn't the first time. It certainly won't be the last time.
Yeah, and with that, our wrestler of the month is the IWGP Heavyweight Champion, the Gene Blast, Yota Tsuji. This man has been blazing a trail in the G1. Really great July, also kicking it off with our match of the month, night one against Takeshita in Chicago. 5-star rated match in my book. And overall, based on my ratings, and a lot of people I'm talking to, also, Tsuji is the highest, average star outputter right now across the whole tournament. And I feel like, he has that Takeshita match, the Shingo match, the Goto match, the Sonata match. Like, every match that he's had so far in July is 4 stars or higher.
Where's Dave's ratings? You watching this shit?
He's throwing some stars on it, but I haven't seen his stars for every match.
This man's not loyal. Yeah, bro, I don't know. No, that I agree. I think that Takeshita has had a just outstanding tournament. And for me, I think Takeshita, or I'm sorry, I keep saying Takeshita, Tsuji. We are talking about Tsuji here. I just want to be clear,
yes.
right? Okay.
Yeah, Tsuji, yep.
Because they both start with the T. I oftentimes like interchange their names, and I was like, wait a second. Without looking at anything, is there any chance that I'm mistaken and Jeremy actually likes Takeshita's tournament?
Nah. Not the AEW trash.
Tsuji has had a litany of successes, moments, career milestones over the past, say, 3 years, where people have said like, oh, this match is performance, or winning this tournament, or, getting to the finals here, or, headlining here, all of these different, and don't get me wrong, the things that he's accomplished and experienced throughout the course of his career, they definitely add up, they compile, and they probably have been like the launching pad for him to get to where he is today. But this tournament, this run that he's on, more so than any other period of time throughout the course of his career, including his first, IWGP heavyweight title reign earlier this year, which that seemed to be for a lot of people like what really solidified it for them. For me, this is much more than that, because what he's doing is what we ask from somebody who is the ace of a company, and he's doing it successfully, which is go in with the title, wrestle everybody in your block, and do big business, draw money, draw linear eyeballs, and work at a working level at the top that is unmatched within the company, with a variety of different types of opponents, with a variety of different like experiences and styles. And that's what he is doing. He is carrying the entire company on his back right now, which is something that can't really be said of any Reiwa guy at any period point, period. Like, it's just him alone at this moment. Now, that might not always be the case, but this is the most impressive Yota Tsuji has been entirely in his career. Like, this is like what makes it, this is the most solidifying stretch of matches he's ever had.
Yeah, he's just been on an incredible run. And yeah, it's exactly what you said. It's what we want to see. Yeah, the guy being a champion, I think one question we had about Tsuji, can he go out there and, either hang or elevate people that he's in there with? And I think the Sonata match is a great, feather in his cap. I mean, obviously, shout out to Sonata. Sonata has been trying, but obviously Sonata is not what he once was. And to go out there and to have that kind of match with Sonata in 2026, I think a big credit goes to Tsuji there. And so, yeah, I feel like, every match that he's had, he's not being carried. He's holding his part. He's elevating the match, and he brings something to it. And so, yeah, this run has just been great. And he feels like a top guy. He feels like your ace, your heavyweight champion, the guy the company's built around. And yeah, it's been awesome just watching him night in, night out.
Yeah. I feel like we're getting to the point where he's ready to cut a Ric Flair promo. The kind where he talks about, Dusty Rhodes, Road Warriors, Magnum TA, Manny Fernandez, all these different guys. Like, that's what he needs to be doing. He's like, Oleg Boltin.
Yuya Uemura. Gabe Kidd.
Gabe Kidd with them fucking whatever. So, yeah, that's where we're at right now. Tsuji's at the top of the mountain, man. It is what it is.
Yeah. And I got a comment here from Rich saying, Big Jones. So, yeah, Jones is here with us on the recording for right now. He's doing pretty good. We'll see how long he lasts through this review.
I found these little inserts from a kit an installation that I did, and I'm realizing these were pretty important and probably need to undo all the work that I did and put these back into the fucking shit before I damage something in my house.
Sad.
I remember being like, why did they send me these stickers? What are these for?
Well, let's jump into the G1 reviews. So we had night 8, 9, 10, and 11. So night 8 was July 29th, Yamato Arena, Osaka, attendance of 2,025. Night 9 was July 31st from Takamatsu City Gymnasium, attendance of 1,271. Night 10 was August 1st from Hiroshima Sun Plaza, attendance of 2,255. And then night 11 was August 2nd in the Fukuoka Convention Center, attendance of 2,306. And we'll jump into the A block. So on top of the block right now is the Alpha, Konosuke Takeshita. He is sitting at 5-1. He has 10 points. Night 8 picked up a win over the Great Okan in 14:38. And night 10 defeating Hiroki Goto in 18:04.
Bro, how you gonna have me out here praising Tsuji when Takeshita's top of the block? That's just it's embarrassing for me. Don't ever do that again. No, I feel like this week has been a really strong week for Takeshita. Obviously, he got to the top of the block. But the match with Goto, once again, was outstanding.
Yeah.
It just, once again, furthers the praise that has kind of encompassed their match series. That I believe this is their third, or actually this might be their fourth match overall, because they've got 2 G1 matches, then the title match, now this third G1 match. So, yeah, the Takeshita Goto match was like really standout, probably match of the night for that evening. The Okan match was, it's sort of like, you know what you're expecting when it's Great Okan. Mm-hmm. That's been a major talking point all throughout this tournament's reviews, but I did feel Takeshita got something a bit more out of him than has mainly been the case through the course of the tournament. So that's sort of a little, like, we used to talk about that. Like, remember like 2018, it'd be like Ishii's the MVP and he got a decent match out of Tamatonga. It was like, oh shit, bro.
Yeah.
So that's sort of what this feels like a little bit.
Yeah, Takeshita, I think, yeah, he's been great. And yeah, I agree with you. The Okan match, obviously there was the Okan shenanigans and, you know, jumping him from the get-go, you know, dragging him out from the back, and he had to deal with all that. But yeah, once they kind of got in the ring, it kind of fell more into Takeshita's core, and Takeshita got control of the pace of the match, and there wasn't a lot of time for Okan to slack off and do his normal Okan stuff. So yeah, that was probably one of Okan's best matches of the tournament. And then yeah, the Goto matchup, super awesome. That match rocked. You know, it was your classic G1 hard hitting main event style matchup, and yeah, Takeshita picking up the win there. So yeah, I would definitely recommend if you haven't seen anything from this week yet to watch that Takeshita Goto match. And with that win over Goto, Takeshita, you know, solidifies himself at the top of the block, only man with 10 points, and only has 3 matches left, and with 2 guys advancing from the block. Right now, it looks like he's kind of in the driver's seat to get a playoff spot.
Yeah, he really controls his destiny there. The only loss that's on his ledger is, you know, the match that we awarded match of the tournament so far, or at least of July, which was the Tsuji match. So, you know, if it does happen to come down to tiebreakers, that might be something pretty significant. But with 2 people getting through, it is feasible that both of those individuals who are basically at the top of the block, it might just be the difference between, you know, A1 and A2 at this point.
Right.
All the same, he does kind of control his destiny here. So it is going to be interesting. You sort of have to imagine that there's no way that he's going to amass. He's got 3 more matches. I don't see him going 16 on the tournament. That seems a little high.
Yeah.
So he's going to have at least one more loss. Could be two. Like, which isn't necessarily I don't know. That's not inspiring confidence to say that he will, in fact, for sure get through the block when it's all said and done.
Yeah, I'll say there's some other people that are still alive that can make their way up, and he has some interesting people left. So night 12, he has Shingo Takagi, who's been kind of making a comeback. Night 14, he has Sonata on night 14, and then on night 16, he has Oiwa.
So let's just say, for funsies, we assume for sure he's going to get at least one more win on the block. So that puts him at 12. At that point, anybody that has 6 points, which is everybody else except for Oleg and Tsuji, they would essentially need to win all three of their remaining matches just to even get a tiebreaker against him, or a tiebreaker scenario.
Yeah.
If he wins two more of his matches, then at that point, Oleg and Tsuji are the only two other guys that are in the same stratosphere with him. Again, it's not a perfect science because we're going to have two people that do get through. But if you wanted to solidify him as a 1A individual coming out of the block, he probably needs two more wins to make that happen.
Yeah, and like you're saying, I have a hard time seeing him, lose 3 in a row and winning 3 in a row. So I think he's probably going to end up at 12, and he's probably going to end up winning this block and getting through in that A1 spot.
I think the real question for him is going to come down to, do you see him being a guy that finishes 12, which is respectable, probably most likely gets through barring any sort of wacky tiebreaker scenarios that we don't see in front of us right this moment? Or do you give him 2 wins, just 1 loss, and he goes in fairly fucking super dominant? So, these last few matches are going to be really important when it comes down to even just the narrative of how he's presented going into the play-ins, assuming he is going to get through, which it looks like he probably will be.
Yeah, which makes sense. Obviously, last year's G1 winner. So kind of makes sense there to kind of follow that momentum up and have him be in the playoff and semifinals. And I think he's, one of the guys who was heavily favorited by pundits, listeners, fans on, getting through to the block. So, yeah, but I think that makes his matches even more interesting to watch because I feel like, every match has some weight to it. He takes 1 too many losses, that puts him in a really bad spot.
Yeah, I agree. So it really, again, we're going to have to look at what's coming up on the schedule here for this week, but it's this is kind of like the make or break portion for the rest of his tournament, and to kind of just see where he's at. And everybody who is 6 points or less right now, I'm not saying that they aren't still alive, they can't get through, but they really have an uphill battle to climb, especially with guys like Tsuji and Oleg Boltin ahead of them right now. And it's hard to imagine how many more losses those guys will be taking as well.
Yeah. Well, speaking of Yota Tsuji, he's the next guy here. He's sitting at 4-2 with 8 points. Night 8, defeating Yuto Ice in 26 minutes and 7 seconds. And then on night 10, defeating the Grip, Roy Oiwa, in 19 minutes and 37 seconds. And, the night 8 match with Yuto Ice has been a very polarizing match between the wrestling fan base. There are people who thought this match was incredible, match of the year contender, strong style fight of the year contender. And then there are people who absolutely hated the match, thought it was trash and a waste of a main event. Josh, I've seen a little bit of your thoughts, but what did you think of the infamous now chop match with Tsuji and Yuto Ice?
I think, and I hate to say this is probably the harshest I've ever been with you in public on this show, but I think you're a fucking coward, Jeremy Donovan. Because if you love this match so much, why don't you try to make this the match of the month?
Well, because I went 5 on Tsuji Takeshita, I went 4.75 on this one.
No. This had a 9.55 or some shit on Cage Match. That's an automatic 5. Your opinion doesn't matter. You already align with the Cage Match voters as it is. I called you fair and objective earlier. Now I'm calling you a lemming and a sheep. And I didn't hear any arguments for this being match of the month. So, if you love this match so much, why don't you marry it? You know what I'm saying? No, yeah. So this match it is interesting. Rich from One Nation Radio. Here we go. Throw this in the bin. I'm not going to throw it in the bin, Rich. I know that Rich watched this match originally before even I did, and he didn't care for it. He's had some words for it on One Nation Radio, but I did see the initial Cage Match rating for it, and I saw it was in the high 9s, and I was like, oh shit. Last week I was like, bro, the sympathy run Ice is on, and then the highs that Tsuji's on, both these guys in the same faction, all the Reiwa stuff. This might be low key match of the tournament type shit. Then I saw that rating and I was like, oh shit, this is gonna blow our minds. Here we go. Yuto Ice, future IWGP ace material. This is gonna be incredible. And then I saw people on the Discord, loving it. And then slowly but surely, Rich was the first one that I knew of, but Rich saw it and he was like, bro, I didn't fucking like this match. It wasn't doing it for me. And I was like, honestly, I kind of heard Rich say that shit, and I was like, I don't know, this sounds like some hater shit to me. Not gonna call him out or anything, but this just sounds haterific. It's sitting at a high 9. There's no way it's not extremely, extremely good. But then slowly but surely, I started seeing the diehard New Japan defenders, the New Jahidin or whatever they're called, start trying to swat down online anybody who had a dissenting voice on it. And it I think the fact that there was anybody that didn't like it seemed to get this response from people who just thought it was a slam dunk, open and shut, this is a match of the year contender type shit. Mm-hmm. Where they're like, if you didn't like this, you are unrefined, you have bad taste, you don't understand wrestling, your palate is poor, you're a poor person who likes poor man's wrestling, yada yada. So I was like, all right, well, let's see what this is all about. I was like, I bet you I'm gonna love this shit. Let me just throw it on. And I threw it on, bro. And I'm sorry to say, Jeremy, but don't get me wrong. Did I think this was a bad match? No. But there's no world that I would go 4 stars or above on this match. It's just not possible. I know we're talking about, quantifiable rating systems when I say that, but you know what I mean? 4 means great. I didn't think this was a great match. I could see why it appealed to many people, and maybe we could break it down a little bit, because I think that this is probably one of the more interesting matches from a talking point perspective. But my initial gut reaction was that I didn't really love this match. It sounds to me, based on what you've said earlier, I haven't asked you about the match, but you said we're going to dissent on something. So I'm assuming you went 4.75, obviously. So yeah, you love this match.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I just felt like the whole story of Yuto Ice's tournament and his whole character is kind of like this, kind of plucky underdog, but also, he's on the pro wrestling high. He's wanting to experience that high and is willing to do whatever it takes to get there. And we've seen his story thus far of, getting knocked out by multiple opponents, trying to achieve that pro wrestling high and the whole thing with him and Tsuji and him, the pre-match or the the preview tag, kind of grabbing the belt and trying to, needle Tsuji. And I just felt like it was just kind of like the defiant kind of moment for me, where it's like, this guy's like, I'm going to take everything you have and, you're not going to be able to pin me. And that man got chopped over and over and over again all throughout the crowd. Like, the first 10 minutes was just Tsuji just blistering this man until, they eventually get back in the ring, and he's just being defiant. And his whole game plan was like, I'm going to let you wear yourself out, hurt the arm, and that's where I'm going to make my comeback. And so I just thought that it fit his whole character and his story of the tournament perfectly. And I thought, Tsuji was just in this spot of being the kind of the arrogant, cocky champion, where clearly you would think, all right, the game plan should change. It's not working. The more I chop him, it seems the more he's fired up. But Tsuji was just so arrogant and so hard-headed. He's like, I'm just going to keep doing it. I'm going to prove to this man that I can chop him down, that, I'm going to get him higher than he wants to get high, and I'm going to chop him down. And it just, kept going and going and going. The only thing I didn't really love the finish, and maybe that's probably the one thing that probably stopped me from going the full 5. They do, the one last kind of chop, and then he does the fire blaster, and then they're both down, and then Tsuji, kind of jumps to his feet before the 10 count, and once again, Yuto Ice loses by knockout. So I thought that probably could have came off a little bit better, but I don't know. For me, the overall story of the match and kind of what they were trying to tell, I don't know. I thought it was great.
So I get the story, and I think it's a commendable story, but I think there are some things about it that don't work for me. I will say this. Rich says this is a culture war match. LMAO. Rocky 2 ending. LMAO. Yeah, I would agree. I think that they were kind of borrowing from Rocky 2's finish there a little bit, but basically anybody that does a double knockout and guy gets up, like, that's what that is what the finish is. So yeah, you can't do that without it being like, oh yeah, Rocky 2. But for me, part of it is like, okay, there's been so much emphasis for so long on Yuto Ice. Yeah, he's an underdog, but also he's a fucking street fighter. This is a guy who fought in Letway. He's fought in MMA, underground, quote unquote MMA. He's got like a lot of fighting spirit. He's not someone who is incapable of bringing the fight to somebody. In fact, like, that is his role in a tag team match. Like, yeah, he has vulnerabilities. He's got holes in his game. He's not someone that's going to be able to, wrestle a Luthez or a Jack Briscoe style of classic technical wrestling the way like Oiwa or Uemura can, but he can take what you dish out at him and then bring it back to you. This presentation, and I'm just trying to think of like Western allusions, because they're really, it's not necessarily like a strongly Puroresu classic archetype type of fixture. It to me, it's a little closer to like Stone Cold Steve Austin. Yeah, especially like early Stone Cold, like 96 Stone Cold, where it's like he knows he's the shit. No one else has caught on yet. And, he's here to fuck up Bret Hart or whatever. The story that's being told about a guy that gets his ass beat just indiscriminately without fighting back because he wants to experience what the other person has. That's like a Darby Allin Cactus Jack style story where the person is completely out of their depth and they are not on the same level and they don't have any tools to go. And it's like a pro wrestling rope-a-dope strategy is the best way to put it. Mm-hmm. I've never considered this guy to be a rope-a-dope needing person, someone that is like a Shane McMahon who's not on the level, but I'm going to go through hell and take everything you fucking have just to experience it. Like, yeah, I know that he has shown vulnerabilities in this tournament, but every other match that he's been in, he's been fighting tooth and nail. And then suddenly he gets in there with Yota Tsuji and he decides, no, I'm not going to fight back. Chop me 300 plus times. And I was like, why the fuck is he not fighting back? And to me, maybe other people disagree, he just looks like a bitch, bro. But then again, let's keep things a buck here. I personally I haven't always been the biggest fan of the type of strike exchanges that like Shibata and Ishii used to do, where they would sit down and say, kick me. And then, you hit me and I hit you and you hit me. And like, eventually I kind of like worked the psychology in my brain to be like, okay, it's a tough guy thing. They're trying to prove their toughness, but they're fighting back and forth. I don't have a problem with a match. Here's the thing. I think the biggest defense that I've seen for this match from people that are like, it's amazing you don't get it, is they're like, number one, it's a simple story. Number two, it's something out of the box that is bold that you wouldn't see in other wrestling. And, number three, it's this, it's this character-based thing, And for me, it's like, nah, I've seen a lot of matches where people have stuck to a simple structure or a simple tactic and spammed that tactic over and over and over again. And I'm okay with it. But to me, pro wrestling is a fight. It's two people going back and forth. And it's never just fucking slaughter me until you punch yourself out. And for me, I was just like, I don't know, man. Like, Oiwa looks like not Oiwa, Yuto Ice looks like a bitch here. Like, he didn't look like someone that was on the level. And every time I've ever seen him compete, and yeah, granted, he's not on the level. He's a tag team specialist. But what has been so endearing about him through the course of this tournament is him trying his hardest, having these holes and falling short due to that. Instead of here, it was just like, I've decided that I'm Darby Allin and I'm going to take on whatever punishment you can give me. Maybe there's a better allegory or a better comparison point out there, but I'm like,
Yuto Ice and welcome to Jackass.
Yeah. It didn't make sense to me. And then honestly, I didn't think his comeback was that strong. I mean, he did some stuff and there was exciting moments. Here's one of the biggest tells for me, Jeremy, is I can't sit here and, I'm not going to treat like the Japanese audience like an archetype and say, hey, here's how everyone in Japan felt about this. I don't know what that is, but I can, base my opinions off of the reactions in the audience. I didn't see this as something that was getting massive reactions for large swaths of the match. There were, to me, a lot of like down periods where I was just like, for me, for something that's 5 stars, I feel like the vibes have to be at a certain point where it's like, it's visceral. I feel it. It's in my veins and I'm standing up and I'm like, let's fucking go. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I feel like the match, the match that is most closely being compared to this is the time when Taichi and who was it? Was
Ibushi.
it Kota Ibushi?
Yeah. The kick match.
Yeah, but that was different because that was an actual battle where two people were going back and forth and kicking each other, and there was this point of, I'm not going to you're going to have to kill me in order for this to end. And both guys have that same mentality and they're both going back and forth. And this one, it was just like, I don't know. Like, I guess if you were really entrenched in the idea that Tsuji was like, I'm so hard-headed, I'm going to prove that this chop of mine is superior enough alone to beat you. I don't need to change my tactic. And Yuto Ice is just like, I'm going to take it. Fine. Again, I don't think it was a terrible match, but to see people treating it as the match of the tournament or as a match of the year contender, I personally do think that people will remember this. They'll talk about it, but I don't think that this is going to place highly on, say, like the voice. And, we can call me out if I'm wrong when it's all said and done. But I think by the time the year's over, I don't think like on the Voices of Wrestling, match of the year 100 or whatever, I don't think it's going to be very high. It'll probably it'll probably be on the list, but I don't see this being like a top 20-ish type of match that people are going, because there's so much other quality wrestling that has already outperformed this year. I think this is a novelty. And I also personally don't feel, I think what you want coming out of this match is a feeling like, okay, we did this novel gimmick, and the feeling when it's all said and done is Yuto Ice feels elevated in his loss. And instead it felt to me like kind of like a burial. Like he's just not fucking on the level. Like he literally just ate shit and then got knocked out. Yeah, it was a really thrilling eating shit, but he just didn't have, he's nowhere on the level of Tsuji. And I know he's not technically on the level, but you want to see something in this match that tells me that we got a fucking star in our hands. And I just personally didn't feel or hear or see that.
Yeah, I totally understand what you're saying there. I don't know. For me, I felt like it was more of like telling the story of like how much can Yuto Ice take. It wasn't necessarily, this match wasn't the match that's like, all right, we're ready to get Yuto up into the main event picture. So I think it was more, to me, it's more about just, how much he's willing to take, how much he wants the pro wrestling high, and what he's willing to do to get that, especially against, somebody that's in his same faction against the world champion. But I get what you're saying. Yeah, I think, could the match have been more compelling had Ito been fighting back more and kind of trying to exchange chop for chop? It probably could have been. But I don't know.
It just doesn't. I think that's the biggest detriment to me is him not fighting back. Makes very little sense to me. And I mean, you can chalk it up to his mindset, his game plan, this pro wrestling high thing. But at the end of the day, it's just fucking stupid. If you really boil it down to any sort of real logic, it's like, all right, well, you're fighting the ace of the company, the world champion. Maybe fight back. Like, at what point are you? And then it's like, I know some people are really high on the close of the match. I didn't think that his comeback was strong enough. I feel like maybe with a stronger comeback that really, really made Tsuji, because I didn't feel like any point Tsuji wasn't really in danger of losing this match. The near falls for Ice were not the kind of strong. There were strong near falls with some of Ice's other tournament matches where you were like, okay, that's believable. Like, this guy's on the verge, even though he lost or whatever. Like, it was really close. It never felt that way with Tsuji. It just felt like, these are the exciting high points. I'm going to hit him with these running knees and these kicks, but you just kind of knew Tsuji was prevailing. And I don't know that these are not the hallmarks of a greatest. When you talk about a 5-star match, like, you're talking about a greatest match of all time, like, sort of candidate. It didn't grip me that way.
Yeah, I felt that when Tsuji started selling, his arm and his hand were hurting. To me, I was like, oh, he might be in trouble. Maybe that's the door opening to get Ice to win, or maybe that's going to be, the story going down the rest of Tsuji's tournament. It's like, all right, now he has this take the arm, and maybe that's going to be the excuse for him to maybe lose a few more matches and not advance.
Well, still might be.
Yeah.
Based off, I mean, we saw him come in with all the tape in the Oiwa match. So
yeah. Rich saying Yuto Ice undefeated at high school. Yuto Ice definitely told people he was undefeated in fighting when he moved to a new neighborhood. It felt dead like 3/4 through it to me. And Dan Coffin says Yuto Ice knocked out, brother.
One other thing about this is like, okay, and maybe this is just sort of ancillary, but or like it's our I don't know what the word I'm looking for is, but anecdotal. But it's like, there's all of this hype about this tournament, from people that are watching it actively. And the two of the best names that people are talking about is Ice and Tsuji. And anybody who's even kind of tangentially paying attention to New Japan kind of knows how, like, that these are two names that are very much part of like the come up, the Renaissance, what's happening. But a lot of people are not actively watching the G1. This match comes along and it is like praised as one of the all-time classics. I feel like for anybody that's cherry picking in and they're like, you know what, I'm going to start with the highest rated one, the one that is getting the most praise of anything that this company's done all year long. Let's start there. And then for it to be this, I don't know, man. I feel like I would have more respect for it if I don't know, if I feel like it's a little bit New Japan fanboy, heartstringsism, like these are our special guys and they had this special match, but it's not really being judged on its true merits of what it actually was.
Yeah.
Because I know if I came in and I watched this, Rich says they want it badly for these new folks. And I'll tell you what, Rich, you're wrong. Sure, that is true, but the truth is we don't need to want it badly for them. They have it. It's just this, for me personally, I don't think that this is, if I was telling anybody to go watch what's happened in this tournament, this would not be my recommendation as a sample point to be like, yeah, this is the high point of the tournament. This is what you should be watching because this proves that these guys have it. There have been, you could probably watch basically any Takeshita. I think, honestly, this is my hot take, Jeremy. Mm-hmm. That might have been and again, it's not a bad match. I'm not shitting on it in the sense of like it wasn't like very, very good. I'd probably go like 3.75 on it. But that was probably Tsuji's worst match of the tournament. In my opinion. I know a lot of people disagree, but that's my feeling on it. And I could probably point to basically anything else he's done in the tournament as being much better. And you know what? I think Yuto Ice, almost every match he's had in the tournament has been better than that one. I feel like this is something that lands only if you have enough backstory as to the motivations of what these guys, like who these guys are, where they're like, you have to actively be watching the match to get enjoyment out of it. It's not like watching Okada Omega. And I know that's very lofty, but like, it's not like turning on, I don't know, let's just say a Nakamura and Ibushi, a match that you have no backstory on, and you watch it and the story's right there, and you're like, oh my God, I've never seen anything fucking like this before. Holy shit, tune me in. I think you could watch Tsuji and Takeshita and get that feeling without knowing any backstory. You watch that match and you're like, oh my God, these guys are fucking balling. I didn't feel like these guys were balling. I felt like one guy was just getting chopped a lot.
Yeah. I don't know. I felt like it was, I don't know. I felt it was more about, kind of building up Yuto Ice's character. And yeah, maybe it was more about, I guess, about the story and maybe the quote unquote moments and the normal kind of back and forth struggle. But yeah, I totally understand for people who don't like the match, why they don't like it. So definitely a very polarizing matchup there.
There's one last thing I will say is I've heard a lot of people that love the match that were defending it saying the reason people don't like this is because it's not 2010s golden era style New Japan wrestling, right? And, it's sort of like you're being a baby because you're not letting these guys be what they want to be. But like my retort to that would be is like, there's a lot of stuff happening in this tournament that I feel like would fit right in with any other G1 I've ever seen.
Yeah.
I don't know that this match like really works in most, there's probably a lot of people hearing me say this shit and they're probably completely like writing me off and they hate what I'm saying about this, but this is truly how I feel. I don't feel like that works in most eras of professional wrestling. Like, I do think that there are some tweaks they could have made to this before. Honestly, I don't think it worked for the Oiwa character. I keep saying Oiwa. The Ice character. I feel like if Yuto Ice was like this sadist, like a guy who just gets off on punishment, and that's been his whole character this whole time, then maybe this works. But that's not really who he is. Like, there's an element of that, like the let's get high experience, but it's also him being a badass and beating the shit out of people and fight and making them fight his style of fight. Yeah, he did make like Tsuji chop him a million times, but like they didn't really. Bro, can you imagine how good this match would have been if they just had the kind of fucking match that they probably should have had with their styles? I still do believe in this pairing, and I think that there's a match that's in them, but I don't want them to be a year from now alluding to this match. Here's the last thing I will say. If you like matches where guys just chop each other a million times and that's what you want, then go watch AEW Dynamite from like 3 or 4 years ago and watch Jericho and Ishii do a million times more compelling and more reactive match from the audience than this one was. If you compare audiences, you compare the reactions they got. And it's funny because the New Japan audience at the time hated that match, but they love this one. And I am telling you that match is an overlooked classic that sleeps this match every day of the week.
Well, I love both of them. We had a question here from Let's Commission 7252. Says the match of the week from last week episode to now is currently Tsuji versus Oiwa. It felt like a world title match, which had me rooting for Oiwa to win. With his loss, I was disappointed at all, but hopeful that Oiwa showed that he's ready to challenge for the world champion anytime soon.
Tsuji versus Oiwa fucking rocked, and I thought it was a better match. I'm loving what they're doing with Oiwa. This headlock gimmick is so cool, and it harkens back to kind of what he was doing in Noah and the N1 and everything like that, bringing that over.
Yeah.
But yeah, I thought they did do a really good job of like carrying over the arm damage that Tsuji like basically self-administered to himself and making that a focal point of his match against Oiwa.
Yeah, and that was kind of putting the bullseye for obviously a technical guy like Oiwa, a student of Zack Sabre. So yeah, that put him in a very dangerous spot for that matchup. And again, it kind of opened the door. Yeah, is that going to be the thing that's going to get Oiwa the win here? But yeah, unfortunately, yeah, Oiwa just wasn't quite able to get a victory over here on Tsuji, and Tsuji was able to pull another one out.
Saw a little drop off on the listeners here. Either Rich got what he came here for and is gone, or I pissed somebody off.
But to wrap up on Tsuji, though, I still think, whether you hate or love the chop match, overall, I still think Tsuji is the best performer in the tournament.
I agree.
I have him at an average of 4.54. So if you hate that match, it'll probably be a little bit lower. But yeah, he's my highest rated guy of the block, far and ahead, and night in, night out, just having really great matches.
Yeah. And I think it's going to be interesting to see with him just being one match off of Takeshita. We kind of talked about what scenarios look like for him. With Tsuji, it's like you sort of imagine he's very likely to get through as champion. And maybe that's just the most easy chalk thing to do, is Tsuji and Takeshita are your two guys that get through. But it is entirely possible that one or the other could get knocked off, and Tsuji, again, he's got that tiebreaker over Takeshita, and that's something to keep an eye out on.
Yeah. Well, up next, somebody else at 8 points is the strong openweight champion, boss, Boltin Oleg, sitting at 4-2, night 8, defeating Jake Lee in 10-18, and then night 10, defeating Sonata in 1 minute and 30 seconds.
Yeah. The Jake Lee match was actually really good.
Yeah, Jake Lee did a Hurricane Rana.
It wasn't just that. He just was working up to the pace with Oleg Boltin, which was surprising. And, but he kind of stuck to the same game plan that he's had, which is like hold back, and then wait for the perfect opportunity to give off a face break shot. And that's kind of what he's been trying to shock people with, that face break shot. And Oleg Boltin had it scouted and powerbombed the shit out of this man and kamikazed him. It looks like as of now, that seems to be like his new sequence is, double powerbomb and then kamikaze. So he picked up, a short, I'm not going to oversell the match and be like, go out of your way to watch it, but it was enjoyable for what it was, which was surprising. And then Sonata, man, I don't know. I'm thinking like, is he all right? Because that was a short ass match.
That man said, I've been trying too hard this tournament. Went out there, had a great match with Tsuji. I'm cooked right now.
He was like, bro, if you guys want me to work destruction in this title match, you're going to need to, a little more light, a little more pop. Like, come on.
But yeah, even for that, minute 30 seconds, I mean, Sonata, he got him from the get. He was, doing all the Shining Wizards and like trying to put him away quickly, trying to do the moonsaults, so that,
for moonsaults, like 40 seconds into the match.
Yeah, that he subscribed to RLPW. He's like, I'm gonna start flipping out here. But yeah, Boltin just caught him, put him away. So kind of two kind of quicker wins here for Boltin. The one thing I didn't like about the narrative of the Boltin Jake Lee match, so Jake Lee is doing these promos saying, there's no way I'm going to be able to beat Boltin Oleg. I'm going to lose tomorrow. And then he did.
Yeah, I didn't like that either. I was like, all right, cool, bro.
So yeah, but either way, Boltin gets the 2 wins here, and he is in a similar spot with Tsuji, where if he can win his next 3 matches, that would put him at 7-2. That's 14. I don't think he would get to 14 points, but I think at least getting 2 wins puts him in a good position, and then you're potentially looking at a scenario that I predicted of a 3-way 12-point tie between Tsuji, Takeshita, and Boltin, and one of these guys getting knocked out in tiebreakers.
Well, we'll talk about it a little further, but yeah, I thought you had like a 5-way tie though.
In the B block, I had a big multi, but yeah, in the A block, I had a 3-way tie with these 3 guys that are currently the top, and I had.
How's your Sport of Pro Wrestling bracket going?
I mean, I'm getting some points, but I mean, I had Umino winning the whole thing, and Umino advancing from the B block. So as we get down to the finals, like I'm probably not gonna get many more points, but as far as everything else, I mean, doing fine for having my winner be out day 1. But yeah, I'm definitely getting some points up on the A block side of things. And so yeah, my A block scenario is kind of playing itself out here. So up next, we got the Grip, Roy Oiwa. He's sitting at 3-3 with 6 points. Night 8, defeating Sonata in 11:50. And night 10, like we mentioned, losing to Yota Tsuji. And we had a question from Bad Fraser saying, what's your favorite headlock? Mine is Oiwa's.
My favorite headlock of all time. I don't know. I've never really classified headlocks, but the first one that comes to mind for me is maybe Nick Bockwinkel's. Yeah. What's funny is I don't know who it was. Oh, okay. We were in a group chat the other night during the Walter Magnus match at SummerSlam.
Mm-hmm.
And Rich said something about Nick Bockwinkel and Harley Race ass match or something. And I was sitting there and I was thinking, I was like, bro, I know for a fact Rich has not watched much. I know he's seen a bit of Harley Race, but I know he hasn't watched that much Nick Bockwinkel. These are 2 totally divergent styles of wrestling. Nick Bockwinkel is so much closer. He isn't like Nick Bockwinkel is in the same genus of wrestler as like Bret Hart, Ric Flair, Ricky Steamboat, like Mr. Perfect. That's Ted DiBiase. Like that's his style. Harley Race, slow, plodding. It is funny. He was like, considered at the time as being like someone that was breaking the business because he did like falling headbutts and shit. But like, I watched a lot of Harley Race and I'm like, man, his shit was slow, bro.
Anti-RLPW.
Yeah, but Nick Bockwinkel is one of the greatest wrestlers I've ever seen in my life, still to this day, and one of the greatest promos of all time. But yeah, that'd probably be my vote for like best headlock. But I don't know how many guys headlocks I've ever really thought too much about.
Yeah, I can't say that I have a favorite headlock, but again, this has kind of been a point of conversation with New Japan fans. Is Oiwa's headlock, and that's kind of been his game plan, where he's just really grinding down the side headlock throughout the match and kind of using that as his anchor to get people down. And I like it partly because I think it actually makes sense with his nickname. He's called the Grip, and he's been doing previously the discus lariat, like the sleeper into the lariat, which to me didn't really make sense if your nickname is going to be the Grip. So I kind of like this. You're emphasizing, all right, the power. Once he gets a hold of you in any submission hold, he's going to grind you down. And it's not just like he's just doing a standard side headlock. He goes down and turns it more into kind of like a face lock kind of position, kind of like a crippler crossface kind of a deal. So to me, I don't know. I like it. I think it's been made the matches kind of fun, and I like the whole strategy of him kind of continue to work the head over the match and then grinds him down at the end to a good submission.
Well, we've seen him utilize that kind of maneuvering to win matches, but like much lower on the card. Like it would be him against Young Lions, and it's like, all right, that's a really cool like added wrinkle to his game, but you just know he's not going to be beating people with that shit higher up on the card. And it's like, oh wait, nope. Oh yeah, never mind. Like he's beating people with headlocks. Like that shit fucking rules. And I know that like this is part of like the Bryan Danielson, ideology where it's like you can make things that used to matter again,
Yeah, and Paul Heyman did an interview several years ago talking about how you can get any move over as a finish, and he kind of laid out how he would use like Mark Henry to get over a side headlock if he wanted to. And so I definitely think there are ways to do it and make it intriguing and elevate a move like a side headlock.
I forgot. Shout out to Ed the Strangler Lewis. That's his fucking finishing hold. Don't laugh. Ed Strangler Lewis, one of the biggest stars in the Dan Coffin. Harley Race stunk. Now, I do like Harley Race in some ways, but Rich, I watched Bockwinkel and Hennig and they did a headlock for 25. Yeah, it's a 5-star match, Rich. Hey, did you finish that match? It's one of the greatest Broadways of all fucking time.
Oh man.
Yeah, man. Ed Strangler Lewis, bro. He did one of the first like 100. No, they got close to $100,000 game, but he did like 30,000 houses. He's a fucking man.
Did he do any flips?
I'm sure he did a front flip, monkey flip, sunset flip. Basically any flip I could do. I bet you Ed Strangler Lewis did.
So Oiwa, I think the headlock thing is working. So 2 really good matches here for him this week with Sonata and Tsuji. And so he's sitting at that 6-point mark. So it's gonna be pretty hard for him to. I mean, it can work out, but he's going to have to win his next set of matches. Essentially, he can't really lose any to advance.
Well, speaking of Rocky, someone's going to need to pull an Adrian on him and be like, you can't win.
You can get Hartley Jackson do it for him.
Let him know.
Well, somebody else that's sitting at 6 points is the Rampage Dragon Shingo Takagi. So Shingo, night 8, defeats Hiroki Goto in 16:39, and then night 10, getting a victory over the Great Okan in 9 minutes and 56 seconds. So Shingo starting off on a losing streak. He was 1-3 coming into this week, and then picked up these 2 wins to get to 3-3 and get himself back into kind of a potential spot to maybe slip in to the A2 spot.
To the Shingo and Goto match occurred on the same night as the aforementioned Chop match. It was the semi-main event, so that was sort of like on both talking sides of the aisle. You heard some people talking about like, oh, if you just want 2010 style, go back and watch that unrefined shit. Just watch the match before it, blah blah blah. But then I heard other people being like, the palate cleanser. I turned this shit on to get some good New Japan wrestling. I honestly, my feeling is I thought it was good, very, very good. But considering who these 2 opponents are and how many times we've seen them wrestle each other and the matches they've had in this tournament, I thought it was like pretty standard for what they're capable of. I thought both of them have had much better, kind of hard hitting wars throughout the course of this tournament than the one that they had on that night with each other.
Yeah, I went about 4.25 on this match. We've definitely seen them have better matches against each other. But I thought it was still great, especially for a semi-main event spot, and very hard hitting. And I love the finish. Shingo did an inverted Last of the Dragon. So normally he kind of gets them up like fireman position, and this way he had them in like a burning hammer position and sat them down into the Last of the Dragon. So I thought that rocked. So good action there. And then the Okan match was trash.
Whoa. Okay, so you might call it trash, but Jeremy, riddle me this. When was the last time you saw New Japan wrestlers brawl into the bathroom like it was fucking Bash at the Beach 96? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, dude, I hated that.
I needed Dusty on the call, be like, there's a lady in the men's bathroom.
Yeah, that was like probably one of Okan's like worst outings here. So they're brawling all throughout the back. They're in the toilet. He's trying to flush Shingo down the toilet. I'm like, what is going on right now?
This might tell you the difference in our taste of wrestling. I thought this was high. Bro, I love when wrestlers go into the toilet. You know, this is ECW 1995. You know, it's great. No, the match was not good.
Yeah. I mean, once they actually got to the ring, like Shingo like salvaged it a little bit. But at that point, I was
see, I'm the opposite. I found more pleasure. I enjoyed the brawling quite a bit more, where I was like, all right, this is a little different, because it's not gonna, bro, it's Okan, it's not gonna be good. This is what I was been saying, where I've been like, he might as well just go full Abdullah on this shit and just start stabbing people and shit. So I was like, hell yeah, let's do some brawling in the men's bathroom. We never see that shit. It wasn't good, but I don't expect anything good from Okan really anymore. And even when it is good, I'm so like just exacerbated with him, where I'm just like, I don't know, bro. I don't care. Like, you're not dependable. I can't count on you. Like, so it is what it is.
Yeah.
When they went in the ring, started wrestling. Why the fuck you guys wrestling? It's Okan, bro. Fights with chairs now. This is not, this is a scummer.
There was definitely some chair shenanigans. He did the Tenzan tombstone driver to the outside of Shingo to get a near count out victory. But Shingo was able to come back and get the win over Okan. So, I'm kind of over Okan. But Shingo gets 2 wins here, rallies back up. So, again, he's in a similar spot as Oiwa, where they kind of need to win their last 3 to really solidify a spot.
Yeah, and I mean, for that Shingo win over Goto felt very major, considering where both of them were at that point. Like, Shingo basically needed that win.
Yeah. And then somebody else that's sitting in the same 6-point scenario is the Pro Wrestling High himself, Yuto Ice. So night 8 was the infamous chop match, losing to Tsuji in 26:07. And then on night 10, he bounced back with a victory over Jake Lee in 10:37. Yeah,
so with Yuto Ice, we've already kind of talked extensively about the match with Tsuji. I don't have much more to add there. With Jake Lee, I don't know. I wasn't digging it that much, really. Like, this might be the first Yuto Ice match that I just genuinely didn't really enjoy in the entirety of the tournament. Although I had similar sentiments about the Okan match on night 1, but I felt like they finished so strong that it kind of turned that match around. But I don't know. I didn't really love his match with Jake Lee here. It was maybe even perhaps worse than the Shingo and Okan match on the same night.
Yeah, it was. I gave this a nice 1-star rating. They did absolutely nothing here. It just felt like Jake Lee wasn't trying whatsoever at all.
No.
And was giving Yuto Ice nothing.
Yeah, and that's where it's like, I've seen some people, talk about this G1, and they'll talk about someone like Jake Lee, and they're like, oh, he put in effort in like the Boltin match. And I'm like, but what about the other matches where he's not putting in effort? Like, I can't give this guy praise just because he took the face paint off for a few nights and tried to get serious, but then shows up against like up and coming star Yuto Ice and wears the Qui-Gon all white shit and does nothing. You know what I mean? So yeah. I'm like, I don't know. I look at the thing holistically. I don't look at it in a vacuum. And this is a Jake Lee, like, sure, he's tried a little bit, but Jake Lee trying is sort of like Yujiro trying, where it's like, okay, it's, I mean, bro, am I wrong?
No, you're spot on.
In fact, I liked when Yujiro was trying more this year than I've liked when Jake Lee's tried, because Yujiro had come, like, who was it that Yujiro was working with earlier this year? Where we thought he was no, before that, where we thought he was going to turn.
Oh,
it was Shota.
Oh yeah, that's right. Umino had yeah.
He had the match with Umino, and like, it was fucking good. And I'm like, I don't know, man, that was better than like everything Jake Lee's, like, his whole entire output for the year. So it's like, how much praise can I give to the guy when it's like, okay, he's giving us baseline bare minimum, like what you sort of expect at the bare minimum. Like Yujiro, honestly, bro, Yujiro could be put in the same tournament and have the same level of performance, and he could go out there and fuck it up and do a 1-star match with Yuto Ice any day of the week. No problem.
Yeah.
Chase Owens too, you know? Is this where we're at in our New Japan? This is what we need? This is why Jake Lee need to be in this tournament? to give us Chase Owens and Yujiro, you know? Come on, bro.
Guess so.
This is heightism.
Yeah, definitely.
It's not right.
Well, so Ice, kind of a mixed bag here for his week, but he does get up to 6 points. So yeah, he's in that camp with Shingo and Oiwa. And so again, really need to win out the last 3, but I don't really see him winning probably 3 straight. So yeah, I don't foresee Ice getting through in one of the spots.
Nah, he's a loser. He's cooked. Get the fuck out of there.
But yeah, his chest looked gnarly after the match. Like, that was just raw hamburger.
Who, Yuto Ice?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, let's move on to everybody else on the block has 4 points. First,
rest of y'all fucking losers. Y'all done.
These geeks. Hiroki Goto, 2-4, 4 points. Night 8, losing to Shingo. Night 10, losing to Konosuke Takeshita.
Yeah, I love the whole thing is like that Shingo is now married, so that's his, now that's giving him the power. It's like Goto's married too, bro. He's got kids, dude.
I got kids. But yeah, it was Goto inspired Shingo to get married and level up. So that's on Goto for the loss here.
Goto's essentially, like, of all the guys who are in this lower portion of the bracket, the best performer right now.
Oh yeah,
but
easily.
Yeah, like, he's having great matches. He's having a really great tournament, but he's also kind of done. And it's sort of like, damn, this dude Goto Mania was running, wild, not just last year.
Yeah, I mean, just like last week. I felt like he might have been in a good spot. He could get the big win over Tsuji. So he's at 4 points. So with 3 matches left, he could get to 5-4, 10 points. But he would need like Boltin and Tsuji to like not win any other match to essentially get through. Or like if Tsuji got the 10 and didn't go any further, he can get a tiebreaker over Tsuji. But yeah, he needs Tsuji and Boltin to essentially have really bad weeks to have any chance of advancing.
I don't think the math is going to math in his favor at this point.
Yeah, I think we can give him one red X here. I think he's cooked. Then also we got Jake Lee at 4 points. Night 8 losing to Boltin. Night 10 losing to Yuto Ice. And yeah, this guy, he's been an absolute waste of this block. He's one of my lowest star average performers in the whole tournament. And yeah, we've gotten a few nights like the Boltin match where he put in a little bit more effort, but then you follow that up with the Yuto Ice match where it was abysmal, very minimal effort there. So he's a guy that, I mean, we could have easily had Yoshihashi in this thing. Heck, Hartley Jackson, Dust Off, Nagata, Kojima. Like, we could have had a number of guys in a spot like this and had would have elevated the quality of this block. But like you said, heightism we have to have the tall man in here, and yeah, he's just sticking up this tournament.
Yeah, we love a tall man here on Keeping a Strong Style. I don't have much more to say about this guy. I feel like through the course of this review, I've given most of my salient points, but fuck you, Jake Lee. Never loved you.
He might wind up in the FOH draft lightning round.
Bro, we need to figure out what we're drafting this year.
Yeah.
Also, I got an incredible idea for FOH.
Oh boy. Well, speaking of another draftable man, Great Okan, also at 4 points. Night 8 losing to Takeshita. Night 10 losing to Shingo Takagi. And yeah, Okan is just he's fallen off the wagon. Yeah.
You can pretty much copy and paste a lot of what I said about Jake Lee and just apply it to Okan. Here's the thing, though, is with Okan, it's honestly, in my opinion, it's very much a case of just what if. Because I don't know that Jake Lee's, I don't know these guys like that, but I get the feeling that Jake Lee has never really been able to piece everything together or had the goods. I feel like Okan has had the goods and just is his own worst enemy and has self-sabotaged and fucked up his own career.
Yeah, I'm wondering if it's a thing of where it's like, because, there was all those rumors that were like, oh, Okan is going to get the push. They're going to make him a big deal. And then he had like that win over Naito, and then like nothing really happened. I wonder if he just kind of got demotivated from that. And it was like, you know what? I'm just not really going to give my effort unless I'm in the finals of something anymore. Because, yeah, I feel like, yeah, he used to be very compelling, like interesting character mixed in with the work he was doing. He was very hard hitting and kind of utilizing all these different, martial arts disciplines. And yeah, now it's, he's leaned more into just kind of the character stuff. And it's, he's kind of doing some of the House of Torture stuff where he's, jumping people in the backstage, taking them backstage. He's having chairs, ref bumps, low blows. Yeah, it sucks. And then last but not least, Sonata, also 4 points, losing to Oiwa on night 8, losing to Boltin on night 10.
Yeah. Sonata, it's been interesting because Sonata, I felt like last week we were singing his praises, talking about how strong his tournament has been. And then here, they gave him the one night off with Oleg Boltin. Probably necessary. I don't know if that was necessary for him or for Oleg. Could have been either one. Mm-hmm. I thought the Oiwa match was enjoyable, but Oiwa has been, it's interesting because I feel like in the matches where you want him to deliver really, really big, when he's higher up on the card, he does. But a lot of his slotting has been lower, kind of like first or second tournament match. And when they're given like 11, 12 minutes, he kind of wrestles the way that you would expect someone in that position to do. And that's sort of what he did here with Sonata. So I don't even want to say it's like, I wouldn't call what Oiwa's done as being like, I wouldn't say he's inconsistent. I think he's probably doing the job they're giving him. When they give him 11 minutes, he wrestles, that style. When they give him a main event and expect him to show him something, he's doing it. But here with Sonata, given who both of them were, I sort of expected a little more than we got here. So,
yeah, I mean, I thought it was pretty good for the slotting on the card, just kind of knowing what Sonata's physical state's at. Also, yeah, he has been trying a lot in this tournament, but I thought it was pretty good, and we really kind of saw that the headlock game plan, to perfection here with Oiwa, continuing to catch Sonata throughout the match in the headlock until he was finally able to grind him down to that face lock position and get a submission victory.
Yeah, I sort of did like the psychology of that too, because with Sonata, we talked last week about like this guy figuring out who he is, what his game plan is going to be, what does he represent, yada, yada, yada. And Oi was like, I'm not going to let you fucking figure any of that out. Hold this, hold this neck, hold this headlock. And every time you try to like figure out, all right, how am I going to approach this kid? Which tact am I going to take? It's like, nah, son, neck crank, cut off the blood.
Dan says, I feel like someone got a monkey paw and made their wish. Chase Owens and Toriano are never in another G1. Then the monkey paw curled up, and now we get Jake Lee and Ocon instead.
Well, Dan, I'm sorry that you said monkey paw because this just shows your age. It's a one wish willow now, and the fact that you didn't use that terminology, it shows us that you are old.
What is a one wish willow?
Jeremy too. Jeremy's old too. He just proved it. So sorry, guys.
Old's on top. Well, let's move on to the B block. On top of the block, we got the IWGP Global Champion, the madman of the Deaf Riders and the Dogs, Gabe Kidd, sitting at 5-2 with 10 points. Night 9 losing to Callum Newman, and then night 11 coming back with a win over Hanare.
So the match with Callum, it was fine. They said it went 12 minutes, but if you add on the extra time for them brawling through the crowd pre-match, it was quite a bit longer, closer to like a 15-ish minute sort of deal. But it was fine. It's kind of tropey. This is what Gabe is doing in a lot of the tournament, and also Callum too. Both of those guys have been doing a lot of crowd brawling and flying through the chairs, what have you. But the Hanare match was outstanding. And when I looked at, again, we always like to reference it, I looked at the cage match. They're so low on this match with Hanare, and this just tells me how much of like groupthink probably does still play its factor into these types of like rating systems. Because I'm like, I don't know, bro, that Gabe Kidd Hanare match fucking rocked. These guys were killing each other. And yeah, when both of those guys excel at brawling, they have this long history with one another, and they told that story to perfection, to a T. And you look online, it's like 7.36. It's like, what match did you guys see?
Yeah, this was like a 4.25, 4.5 star matchup. Yeah, these guys were going out there having the match that they know how to have. Big lariat exchanges throughout the match, and Gabe Kidd making the mistake of trying to headbutt Hanare multiple times over, and also falling to that. And yeah, I thought
that's racist.
Yeah, it was a very hard hitting, very snug worked main event, and I love that Gabe Kidd's been kind of doing like these like ultimate combos for his finish. Last week he did the whole like pile driver, death rider, drill a hole pile driver. So he did something similar here, where ended up hitting him with the regular pile driver, the drill a hole pile driver. I was able to put Hanare away, but yeah, I thought both of them looked great. And also, there's a big story there with those guys dating back to War Dogs versus UE, and they had that double knockout match that led into the dog pound cage match, and Gabe almost killed Hanare in that dog pound cage match with the table to the head, which they kind of harkening back to that spot in this match where Gabe tried to throw a table at Hanare again. So really good stuff here from those guys.
It's interesting that you call that like ultimate comboism, because I think of it as him just like overdoing shit, just being like, I'm gonna hit you with this, I'm gonna hit you with this, I'm gonna hit you with this, I'm gonna hit you with this. It's gonna be fucking awesome. And you're gonna take it all, and then you're gonna lose. And I'm just like, I don't know, but like when you say it from that sort of standpoint, that it's like, okay, it's this combo, like it's a combo of moves, kind of sells me on it a little more than, because I was just like, he's just spamming shit.
Yeah, it's kind of like, like Street Fighter or something like that. You hit the right kind of finishing combo, and it includes like 3 moves in the combo.
See, I wouldn't know. I'm like Rich. I'm Mortal Kombat only. I have combos.
You play with Zhang He. If you get that combo, you do like the multiple Germans into like a spinning pile driver.
Nah, both games have combos. I can't wait for Street Fighter. I saw some more of that during SummerSlam. It looks so good. It's gonna be great.
I mean, I'm sure it is.
Can't wait to see fucking
Goto.
Roman Reigns. Oh, Goto, bro. Maybe we need to review that movie for the show.
It'll be the second movie we've ever reviewed on this show.
My Dad is a Heel Wrestler, and then Street Fighter 2, the movie.
Oh man, definitely a great pandemic episode there. Our view of my dad as a heel wrestler. We had a question from Unchained Macho Gory 40. So, am I the only one who thinks Gabe Kidd should switch up his style since he's in his anti-Shinyon era now? The gimmick is good. His wrestling style has not really evolved from where it was at early last year. Maybe adding more Western shenanigans would have completed it.
That's what you're doing. I think that's exactly what he's doing. I think he's doing a less honorable version of what he was doing. Last year he was like all about honor. Same style, but I'm the spirit of New Japan, Shinny Han bitch, blah 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 blah. I'm gonna die here. You can put the lion mark into my fucking veins. Now he's still wrestling that style, but he is just westernizing it a lot.
Yeah. And also, he's still sometimes doing kind of like the mid-match promo thing, grabbing the mic and riling the crowd up. And I think it's kind of more of like I feel like he kind of feels more like a madman. Like he's kind of just kind of uncontrollable, unhinged. You just don't know what he's going to do. And so, yeah, I feel like that works for what he's doing right now. I don't think it would make sense for him to lean into more of like the House of Torture style. It's like we already have that. Like you have Narita, and you have like Jake Lee and O'Connor. There are guys in this tournament that are leaning into the Western heel cheating, interference, weapons, low blows kind of things, and I don't think you need another guy doing that. And I don't really think that kind of fits what Gabe's trying to get over.
With no Shota in the tournament and him carrying the white belt, it's kind of feeling like he's gonna be like he's at the top of the block already, unless something knocks him off. There is a point to there's not a huge point disparity. There's a lot of guys at 8, so this is much more parity based block, but kind of feels like he might just be one of the guys in the play-ins.
Yeah, so he's at 10 points, so he's 5-2. So that means he has 2 matches left. So yeah, I mean, all it takes really is one more, and I feel like he's locked the spot in.
Yeah, and it's interesting because I sort of feel like Zack is on his comeback, so we'll see how that goes. But he beat Zack, so he's got a tiebreaker over him. And I think the other guy that most people are pulling for from this block would be like Yuya.
Mm-hmm.
So, if it were to be like, say, Gabe and Zack per se, then, 2 white guys, you'd have to imagine that we're probably looking at 2, domestic talents from the other side. It's very interesting. Plus, you still have to kind of factor in, like, who do we realistically see going to these finals when it's all said and done? There's a lot of people that could get into the play-ins, but there's only so few that you could realistically see going to a G1 final or even winning it. And that's where like the rubber meets the road. It's a little hard at this point still, even as deep as we are in the tournament, to kind of see exactly where the path is leading us.
Yeah, and there is potential here. I mean, you could do something if Gabe gets through, Tsuji gets through, either a semifinal champion versus champion, or somehow both guys get to the final, champion versus champion in the finals, and also their whole history and rivalry, and obviously what better guy than to fend off the AEW invader than Yota Tsuji.
Bro, if they do that, I'm here for it all day. And while we're at it, double gold dash that shit. You know what I'm saying? Let's make it a title defense. Let's get real interesting. All in. This is the real all in.
Yeah, get the belt back on Tsuji.
Bro, and then from there, Tsuji holds another press conference and he brings out all of the belts. He brings out all the IWGPs, all the ICs, the red belts, the global.
I'm bringing it all back.
It's like, so we're gonna start defending. We got IWGP V1, IWGP V2, V3, V4. We got the world title, so there's 5 right there. We're gonna split those. We're going real. I will start carrying Inoki's belt from now on. But The rest of you guys can fight for these other 4 belts. It's gonna be a hierarchy. It's gonna be great. Bringing back the British title. It's gonna be good.
So Gabe Kidd, really, really great spot going into the last few nights here. Then on next up for 8 points, we got Hanare, who is a New Zealand champion and 1/2 of tag champs, 1/3 of the Never 6-man champ. So night 9 had the night off. That would have been his match with Shota Umino. And then on night 11, like we mentioned, he had the Gabe Kidd match.
But I just gotta say it, like, what a fucking geek. And here's why. You had 2 nights off, bro. You had an off night. You had time to rest and recoup, and you still couldn't beat this dude. What the fuck are you doing, bro? You were supposed to be at the top of the block. You were the chosen one, the one that was promised and foretold. You dropped the ball.
Yeah, he was at the top of the block last week, and yeah, kind of a lot of people kind of questioning, why is Hanare at the top of the block? But I thought he's been very good through the tournament. I don't feel like he's had a lot of like blowaway matches, but I feel like he's had a lot of really snug, hard hitting, very good matches, and has pretty much been enjoyable each night. And yeah, even though he did drop the ball here against Gabe Kidd, he's still in a very good spot. So he's 4-2. So that means he has 3 matches left. So he's in a very good spot right now.
No, Hanare's in a great spot. I was just being a little facetious there, but he truly, I thought the Gabe Kidd match was standout. Like really, really stand out. I thought Hanare more than held his own. I thought it was perhaps his best showing in the G1 so far.
Yeah, I would say that was probably his best match for sure. And even though he is at a very good spot, like I don't like. Do you see him as somebody that can get through?
No, and that's not because I don't like him or I don't believe in him. It's conditioning. We've been told by creative that this is not a guy that you would believe could go that far. If he did, huge elevation would be really cool. I don't see it.
Yeah, and let's see what he has left. So night 13, he has Uemura. Night 15.
I don't know why you're going through the trouble of even looking up who he's got left. We know this man's not going in the plans.
He's got Zack. He's got Zack on night 15. And then on night 17, he's got Cal Newman. So yeah, I feel like those are 3 people.
Some of the biggest stars in the tournament still.
Yeah, I think we're probably going to see 3 losses in a row here for Hanare.
I hope he beats one of them. I hope he beats Callum.
Actually, you know what? He might, because that's the last night, and so I think
they're in the same group though.
Depending on where things shake out, there is still kind of weird, like who's on whose side when it comes to Callum and Ospreay. Like, I wonder if any of that kind of plays out, and Hanare beating Newman could potentially spoil him from going into the play-in. So I think there's some interesting story you can do there with Hanare beating Callum.
Did you say who's on whose side when it comes to Ospreay? That seems to be a reoccurring theme all throughout the wrestling industry right now.
Yeah.
So I hope he shows up and helps Gabe Kidd win a match.
Well, he's done with the Death Riders. He turned his badge back in.
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
Maybe he should re-sign up. I know they were trying to, I heard, like, choke out Kenny Omega with the bag. That was the tipping point. But he should have done it because him and Kenny broke up anyways.
Which is what Mox was trying to tell him the whole time. Can't trust Kenny.
Well, I'll tell you one thing. You can't trust Will. All right. Just putting that out there. For a lot of reasons.
Oh, man. Well, next up, also at 8 points, is 44 caliber Drilla Maloney. Night 9, losing to Oscar by ref stoppage in 10:40. And then night 11, he loses to Aaron Wolf. So Drilla, he was kind of a similar spot with Hanare, top of the block, looking really good, and then eats 2 losses in a row here.
Got beat by 2 bigger, better men. You know, there's a reason we got weight classes in this company. I hear everyone saying, oh, Drilla, it's hard to believe he's a junior. I believe it. Look at him. He got muscled around by Oscar, got put to sleep, got his ass beat by Aaron Wolf.
Yeah, but
time to go back to best super juniors. He never won one of those shits. He never won the junior title.
But I did think he did look good in defeat in both matches. I thought he gave Aaron Wolf one of Wolf's better matches throughout the tournament. Very hard hitting, very snug matchup there. And he had a tease of the Driller Killer on Wolf, which I thought, man, how's Wolf gonna take this? But didn't end up.
I wanted to see him hit it on
Oscar.
I was like, how's he gonna do this?
So a really good match. Overall, I think Drilla has been very, very good, and I've seen a lot of people kind of finally, opening their eyes and seeing how good Drilla is, and I feel like we've kind of been seeing it for a while now, even as a junior. With that one random win over Naito, like I think there was definitely always something here of him, and so I think the move to heavyweight was a good call there, and yeah, he's been really good in this tournament, and he's in a very good spot. He has 2 matches left, so he can get to 12, but I don't know if he's going to.
He already is kind of in contention for the Gabe title match, and I feel like for anybody that has sort of solidified their spot for a title challenge, they're probably not going to the play-ins. That being said, Drilla is somebody that I could see getting that like status. Like you asked me, could I see Hinari going through? No. Could I see Drilla? Yes. I don't think he's going through. That's not my prediction, but I think that speaks to the level of elevation they've given him in this tournament, to where, a year ago, there's no way I could see him being somebody that could make it to a play-in round. This year I do.
Yeah, and it's also interesting because, his last match was the Umino match. So essentially, night 15 for him is his personal B block final, and like he has to kind of
night 17. He's gonna beat that ass on Shota Umino, bitch.
So I'm wondering how the points play out there, because he could potentially need to win night 17 or night 15 to get through and win there. So
we'll talk more about it. But man, that sleeper, that rear naked joke. This man got Anaconda Viced, the real Anaconda Vice.
Yeah, and he got hit with an angle slam by Wolf. So down week for Drilla here. But up next, one half of Knockout Brothers, Oscar, 4-3, 8 points. So like I mentioned, Oscar defeating Drilla Maloney on night 9, and then night 11 losing to Zack Sabre Jr.
I think along with Drilla, but I would probably put him a smidge ahead of Drilla. And that's no slight on Drilla, but in terms of guys that have outperformed the expectations for them in their run in this tournament, Oscar's, for me, very close to the top of the heap. Now, that's not to say that he's having classics, but he is going out there and he's just being fucking awesome. Yeah. And I'm enjoying everything he does.
And he's been great on commentary, too.
Bro, I told you. I think he's listening, bro.
Yeah.
I told you.
There's some stuff. There's stuff that Walker was saying, too, where I'm like, man, y'all was playing in the locker room.
Well, we know Walker listens.
But, yeah.
Never been on the show, but...
Yeah, Oscar's been really good here. I think the Zack match has probably been his best match the whole tournament. And yeah, he was just trying to use his power to overpower Zack. He was throwing Zack all around, and Zack had to use the Saberism to tie him all up. Finally, at the end there, got all the limbs tied up to get the ref stoppage submission victory. But I thought that match was really, really good. And then the Drilla match, obviously having the height advantage over Drilla, but also Drilla kind of has the energy as somebody as tall as Oscar, and so bringing that fight to him. But yeah, he was able to get the nightmare sleeper on Drilla.
One thing I like that that Oscar's doing is he has variants of how he can finish you with the same sleeper hold. So you know, he has versions of it where he just puts it on you, and then he has the version where he spins you around. Now he has the version where he fucking locks you up on the ground and puts you out like MMA style. And I'm like, I love that. I love when you can, like, that's what made me love DDP growing up, is the different ways he was able to get into the diamond cutter. And then not only that, like, he has other looks that he can give people as well, and, you know, other finishers. So yeah, Oscar rocks, man. I thought that was a really big win, the win over Drilla. And then the Zack match, we've talked about kind of the limitations of the style of, like, oh, we're going to work the leg, kind of cut you down sort of thing. Goes to figure that, like, Zack is able to work that style match with him, but in a way that's not derivative, and that's not, you know, your average run of the mill, you know, same match that everybody else has had, and make it compelling and make it, you know, meaningful, plus all the history of tag matches those guys have had with one another. And, you know, with Ice and Oiwa, they've been like natural foils for each other. It's kind of left it during the press conferences and stuff in the past that, you know, Oscar has been the guy that him and Zack have been the ones doing the jaw jacking back and forth. It's not quite as heated as that other pairing, but they've had some heat going in, you know, throughout those matches. And so that kind of lent itself to this one as well. And I thought it was really fantastic. And yeah, it felt, when it was all said and done, it felt like Zack survived Oscar more than anything else.
Yeah, I felt like a lot of his submission holds were like out of desperation. Like, he was just trying to grab whatever. Like, yeah, at some points, yeah, the legs were the target, but then there were other points where, like, yeah, it's like, I just have to grab anything I can and try to get this guy down, because Oscar would just, you know, stand up out of the leg bar and, like, just throw Zack around out of the holds.
I think when it comes down to the basics of what you need from a guy, like, should Oscar be a good seller? Absolutely. But the style of match that I find to be not super compelling is where he's spending most of the match selling, waiting to heat up and get his shine. With the Zack match, it's the total opposite. When we say more monster, it's not about, like, choke slams and, you know, overhead presses and stuff like that. It's about, like, being dominant and being on top and fucking the other guy up. So that's really what it comes down to, is, like, it shouldn't be him selling for 70% of the match. It should be the other guy selling for 70% of the match and surviving Oscar and finding a way to prevail. That's what made all those, like, you know, Okada and Tanahashi matches against Fale so great, was him just battering them. That's the secret.
Yeah, I think even, you know, you go back to, like, the Archer Osprey matches where it's like, yeah, Archer is destroying Osprey majority of the match, and Osprey's, like, you know, having to try his best to use the flippy doos to try and get the advantage and take Archer out. And so, yeah, I feel like you can do some really compelling stories there. So, yeah, Oscar looking really good this week, and similar situation as actually a lot of the guys in this block are at 8 points, and like Drilla, he's had 7 matches already, so that means he only has 2 left. So again, he's gonna have his night off coming up soon, so he only has 2 matches left, so he kind of has to win out his last 2 if he wants to get through the playoffs. Then up next, we got the Prince, Callum Newman, also at 8 points, 4-2, so only 6 matches in for Callum Newman. Night 9, defeating Gabe Kidd, and then night 11, he had his night off.
I thought the Gabe Kidd match was one where I expected a little more from them, to be honest. You know, Callum, it's a mixed bag, because one has to wonder, with his injury coming out of his title defense at Dominion and then sort of rushing back, how much of that is actually playing, you know, taking a toll on his tournament here, because he has been kept, like, he's had some main events, but far fewer than you would expect for a guy that just recently carried the title. Granted, it was his first reign and it was a short reign, but you would have sort of felt like, looking at all the names in the block, he's one of the biggest stars that you could probably count on. He's had less, like, main events than I sort of would have anticipated. And I'm wondering, is that something where it's like the company is saying, we don't fully see you there just yet? Or is it, and I'm kind of leaning this way, is it something where it's like he's not fully healthy and they don't want to put him in there for 20 minutes a night? And so they're kind of hiding him a little bit and putting him in these sub 15, 12-minute matches to sort of protect him a little bit. That's sort of where I'm leaning personally. But he's had some very good matches, but this hasn't been the kind of tournament that you would expect from a guy that put in what he did during the New Japan Cup earlier this year.
Right, yeah. He's not going out there and having the blowaway matches, and you would think he would, kind of rival Tsuji's output, kind of just based off of the elevation he's had this year. But yeah, they're doing more of like the crowd brawling with him, kind of sneaky wins, sneaky low blows, and you can question maybe they're protecting him, but he's going out there and he's doing these crazy diving drop kicks into chairs every night. It's like, if I'm him, I'm not doing that every night, because he's landing crazy. He's landing on the shoulder, landing on the back of his head. I'm like, what are you doing?
Yeah, but and that is a good point. And I've thought of that, but there is a difference between doing like one crazy stunt per night that you sort of know how to do versus like working a hard match where it's like, I'm going to take a bunch of fucking bumps.
Yeah.
The accumulation that's there, especially with like his style of wrestling, where it's like, we're going to do a fucking like I don't know, like a Spanish fly off the top rope. We're going to do giant power bombs off the second, the high bombastic, very physically demanding style of wrestling he does. He's not having to do that. So it's like, yeah, he is doing the big dive into the chairs, but it's sort of like, I think he feels comfortable doing that, as stupid as it is, because maybe that's less arduous than like going out there and doing the main event heavyweight style.
Yeah, maybe. But yeah, so yeah, he's been very good, but yeah, not kind of blow-away matches. I wouldn't say, I can't really think of one match really that's been like, super great, like match of the year contender kind of matchup, but very good, solid matchups. And as a former, champion, New Japan Cup winner, sitting at 8 points, you got to think he's somebody that's going to be a potential candidate to get through to the playoffs. And he's sitting at 8 points, and he has 3 matches left, unlike Oscar and Drilla that only have 2 matches left. So he has more wiggle room to play there and could potentially, get to 12 points.
Yeah. And because this is so much more of a parity-based block than the A block, getting to 10 or 12, well, I guess probably here the 12 is probably the sweet spot, but because there is the double entry, yeah, you could probably, with tiebreakers, get to just 10 points and still get through.
Yeah. So essentially he only really needs to win one more match at the bare minimum to kind of get him in the conversation. But then, yeah, getting at least 2 wins kind of locks him in there.
Yeah. And again, I don't know for sure if he's going to be one of the guys that gets through from the B block, but just given his status, you have to imagine he's going to finish top of the block regardless.
Yeah. Then also in a similar situation with 8 points, 4-2, is sold out Ren Narita. So night 9 defeating Zack Sabre Jr. in 2 minutes and 45 seconds. Night 11 defeating Yu Uemura in 20 minutes.
So I don't know what the fuck goes up with that Zack match. Really weird stuff, especially considering Zack has sort of been the Ren Narita whisperer for so many years.
Yeah.
So you expected that match to be something and it wasn't. I also have always really liked the story that Zack is smarter than HOT and he knows how to like get over on them. And instead he got over on by them. And it was also really botched. Like there was supposed to be a powder in the eye and they missed. So it was like, he didn't actually get the powder in the eye, but he still had it like feasibly set. Like they just fucked it all up.
Yeah, bro. I hated this match so much.
I mean, it was only 2 minutes and 45 seconds, but it was really terrible. And then who was it that was supposed to hit him in the back to lead to the finish? I think it was
Kanemaru, I think.
Yeah, Kanemaru was on commentary and then he jumped the guardrail, but he didn't hit him. He did a double hand, like he did a 2-hand touch, like when you're playing, football in the neighborhood. And I was like, what did that do? That didn't do anything. Like, and then he had to get beat. I was like, bro, if they wanted this man to look terrible in losing a quick, fluky loss to Narita, they did him no favors. Like, that fucking sucked.
Yeah, and then horrible.
And then Yuya, bro, Ren is the lowest performing guy in the entirety of the G1, not just the B block. He is worse than both Great Okan and Jake Lee.
I agree. And that's how my star ratings are ranking out now. A lot of people were kind of questioning, you have him, lower than Okan and Jake Lee. And yeah, I feel like both Okan and Jake Lee have had the nights where they've tried. I don't think Narita has really tried at all. And it's just been full of the House of Torture shenanigans. So yeah, I have him at an average of 2.10.
You know what I would say, Jeremy? I think that they have toned down the House of Torturism with him. I'm not saying it doesn't exist, but in terms of comparatively speaking, how abundant it's been in his matches, and also Evil, when Evil was in the same spot, Evil's matches. But let's just say, like, over the past year with Ren Narita, he's had way more House of Torturism than he's had in this tournament. And that has forced him to wrestle a little bit, and he's not trying. And I think it's Great Okanism again. I think it's a guy who knows he's not getting the push. He already had his little run with Wolf. The run is over. The job got done. He lost at Dominion. And, I don't know for sure, but if the tea leaves are to be believed, he's probably not long for being the quote unquote leader of House of Torture. It feels very much like, I don't know anything. I'm not saying that this is what's going to happen, but we know, like, someone like Shun Skywalker is coming in. He screams to me like a guy that could be grimy House of Torture leader any day of the week if they wanted to make him that. That's probably where this group is headed. He's done. And the bodysuit, like he's fucking, late, like 2000s era Chono. It just tells me, like, this guy just doesn't care. Like, he's done.
Yeah, he's been actively bad the whole tournament, and really surprised that he's at this 8-point mark. It seemed like he started off slow and they were going to kind of, down cycle him as well throughout the G1. But yeah, he's picked some wins up here. He's now sitting at 8 points. He's in the same spot as Cal Newman, where he has only 6 matches in. So he has 3 matches left to play with to potentially get some more points and potentially advance. And they might do the whole evilism with him, where they make it, you think he's gonna get through, and then last night he gets beat and doesn't get through. But yeah, I don't see him advancing.
I mean, on paper, he's the leader of a faction, the top heel faction at that, so that he's got to be shown some level of respect. But they're doing it in the most, like, he's working almost no main events. He's having these really shitty matches, and let's put it this way. There's been years where it's like when Sho first joined House of Torture, some of those early Super Juniors, and they were like, we're going to make this Sho thing work. We're going to force him down your throat. We're going to put him in a million main or semi-main events, and he's going to hit everybody with this fucking wrench, and you're going to learn to love it. That's not what they're doing here. It's like, yeah, we're going to give him the points, but he's going to work way down on the card. He's going to work sub 10-minute matches, very forgettable. Like, you're not going to care. Yeah. That's mainly what they've been doing with him.
Yeah. So yeah, it's not been great. So yeah, I'm hoping here for him losing his last 3 matches and not making a dent in getting into the playoffs. Then we move into the 6-point territory. We have the Heat Storm Yuya Uemura, who is 3-3. So night 9 defeating Aaron Wolf, night 11 losing to Ren Narita. So Yuya Uemura, he has 3 matches left. So if he wins 3 in a row, he can get to 12 at that 6-3 spot. So he's not quite out. I know that he was or is a favorite of a lot of people in his B block, and a lot of people have him in winning the block and even advancing to the tournament. Some people have him winning the finals, and it doesn't look like it right now, but he's still in a good spot to where he can rebound and get some more points. but it's going to be kind of make or break for him. Like I said, he has 3 matches left, so he's really going to have to win his final 3 to solidify getting into the playoffs. His night 9 match with Aaron Wolf, that was the main event that evening. I thought Wolf looked really good in that match. I thought Yuya did a good job there with Wolf, and it wasn't a blow-away match of the year contender or anything, but I think you're starting to see Aaron Wolf just kind of acclimate more and more to New Japan and learning how to do the pro wrestling style. And so I thought that Yuya Uemura was a great guy there to work with and kind of help him through one of his first main events there. And like we mentioned with the Ren Narita match, just absolutely abysmal matchup there with Ren Narita, and kind of an unfortunate submission loss there through some shenanigans there. So not the greatest week for Uemura. I mean, the Wolf match, kind of your 3.75 range, and did not love the Narita match. So Yuya, even though things are not looking the best for him, again he has 3 matches left, and let's take a look and see who he has left into seeing what his chances look like here. So night 13, let's see who he has. So night 13, he has Hanare. I think that's a winnable match there. Night 15, he's got Gabe Kidd. So that would be a very important match for him to win. Not only does it get him a potential future global title match, that would be a win over the block leader and keeping Gabe from getting to 12. And then night 17, he has Oscar on the final night, which again, another winnable match there. So it looks like Yuya has a really good path to the playoffs.
I agree. I think Yuya does have a really good path. I think what is concerning to me is some of the other guys that are in this block that are still alive, that are still viable, and they can't all get through. And he's the lowest on the totem pole of all of them. So it's like, you got Gabe, you got Callum, you got Zach, and then you got Yuya, and it's like, I think the fact that he's like potentially the most like of the hierarchy of domestic Reiwa guys in the block, he's the highest. And I think Shota not being in the block really helps his case creatively quite a bit. But you sort of have to do a lot. I think that's one of the reasons why the 5-way tie that you had sort of booked made a lot of sense, because it's a parity-based block because there's a lot of parity-based stars.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm struggling to see how Yuya is going to get through in that compelling way. The last thing I will say about it too is like, he's had some big wins, but he's taken a lot of losses and he's still sort of coming from behind. Zach's in a similar boat. And we've talked about this with Yuya, where it's like, if you're going to put him through, it needs to be fucking strong and definitive. And you're playing this game with him where if on the final night he's got Oscar, no shade on Oscar, but that's not the kind of guy he should be beating on the final night to potentially get through. On a mathematical standpoint, it should have been like him and one of the top guys, and he fucks them up and he goes through and it's like, okay, a star is made. It doesn't feel like that's where they're heading with him.
Yeah, it could have been like him and Drilla or him and Zach the final night to be something huge for him. Because, him versus Oscar screams wacky roll up. I'm sliding in at the skin of my teeth, kind of a win.
Well, I think it's a little too on the nose, but it probably should have been Callum.
Rematch of the New Japan Cup Finals. Get some comeuppance by knocking him out.
Exactly.
Man, just give us a book.
Give me the book.
So that's Yuya. Then also at 6 points, we got Aaron Wolf, the never openweight champion. Night 9, losing to Yuya Uemura. Night 11, defeating Drilla Maloney.
So I expected him to beat Uemura last week. I was wrong on that. But the Drilla Maloney win, significant. It's very good. I'm kind of where I was last week with Aaron Wolf, for better or for worse. I don't have like, I didn't think either of these matches are, I guess what I'm probably going to have to do, because I'm like trying to gather my thoughts here, is I think I'm just going to have to chalk up this entire tournament for me as just a learning experience. Mm-hmm. Much in the same way that Oleg Boltin's first tournament was primarily just a learning experience. I was hoping that it would be a learning experience dash one or two really, really standout performances that you're like, okay, like I get what they're doing, but here's the flash of greatness that just showcases like, okay, here's the archetype. Here's what we have. That hasn't happened yet for me. And I think that's kind of where I'm like, okay, I know he's good. I know that we're still developing him. I know he's got so many like unique circumstances and kind of things working against him, just given like how the, everything they're having to juggle when it comes to him as a brand. But I was hoping one of these matches would be like, I thought that the Uemura match was going to be that match where it's like, okay, Uemura proves I can make a guy, I can carry somebody, and then he shows like I can do this classical style. And like, don't get me wrong, the match was very good. It was very good, but it wasn't, and it was the longest match that like Wolf's had. Mm-hmm. And I thought he looked good in showcasing like I can work solidly for a good length amount of time, like in a main event sort of role. And that's great. I'm still at this point where I think for me, the jury's a little bit out with Aaron Wolf though.
Yeah, I think part of the problem with Wolf is that his wrestling is not at the level of the push he's getting. I feel like things would be different if he was kind of like Boltin Oleg, where, Boltin was, a traditional young lion, wasn't really getting pushed hard, and then graduated, and then, it was this kind of first G1, so you kind of expected him to kind of be, not having these blowaway matches. He wasn't getting, pushed super hard, and his wrestling was fine, but I think it kind of matched the level of where he was at, and that's the hard thing with Wolf. It's like you kind of have to push him because he's this huge, monumental name in Japan. He's what's getting them on TBSI, and he's a huge name and attraction for the brand. But then his wrestling is not at the level at this main event star that they want him to be. And it's just a kind of an unfortunate thing, because it's like almost like damn if you do, damn if you don't. It's like you got to use him and push him, but then if you do push him, you're not going to get these quality main event matches.
Yeah, that's sort of been the whole, talking point and issue that we've had going all the way back to the inception of him making his debut and working, in a marquee spot at Wrestle Kingdom against one of the biggest names in the company and a champion in Evil. And the question really was, okay, how do you do this? And then what's the follow-up? Win or lose, how do you build this guy? How do you carry him? What do the next 6 months look like for him? And we've kind of seen how that has played out already. I think what we're seeing in this tournament probably speaks to why they sort of sequestered him into the House of Torture vortex for such a length of time. It wasn't just about protection, or, it wasn't just about development, but part of it was about protection as well, which makes all the sense in the world. Like sometimes we put very lofty like standards and expectations on a guy, and we have to be realistic about who he is and where he is. But the name he carries, the profile, that's where the disconnect is there. I think eventually these two, if he sticks with it, I think these two things will meet. But I at this point, I have just kind of been hoping for at least one really like standout performance. And for me, honestly, I feel like his best match of the entire tournament has still been that first night with Hanare, probably.
Yeah, I'll say that. I mean, I really like the Yuya match. I thought Yuya did a great job of him in that main event. But yeah, the Hanare match was really good. But I mean, honestly, like if you count the play-ins, the Yoshihashi match, just really.
The Yoshihashi match has been his best singles match of his career.
Yeah.
I don't know. Well, aside from the evil match.
Right. Well, the evil match was more of like the spectacle grand stage debut. But if you're looking just for like bell to bell in ring action, then yeah, the Yoshihashi match is his best match. And
nah, man, go turn on the evil match and turn the sound off and watch that shit. It's classic.
I haven't gone back and watched any of that stuff.
Me either. Leave the memories alone.
So we'll see what's going on with Wolf. He's in a similar spot with Uemura where, yeah, if he wins the last 30, he can get through. Don't quite see that happening. Again, like my prediction, I had the crazy 5-way tie. I had Umino and Wolf going through, just thinking like you could potentially use the Wolf name to get the semifinals on TV. That show is sold out with the 5-minute Kojima versus Tenzan match, a Tenzan retirement match. So, I mean, there are some things lining up that make it look good for potentially getting a TV spot, but
they're going 5-minute Broadway.
Maybe, or my man Kojima is going to beat him. Hold this lariat.
He might be MLW champion by that point.
Oh man! Speaking of his MLW run, he's been working with a buddy of mine, LeBron Cozone, who's been killing it on the indies, and he's been teaching Cozone how to do the lariat. And there was a vignette of them out in the forest, and they're lariating trees. It was great, and I'm so happy for Cozone, and glad that he's been able to work with Kojima. So,
shout out to Baron Corbin.
Yeah, he's still showing up on MLW TV because it's been so behind on the taping airing.
This man hasn't worked there in 5 months, and he's still deep in the middle. His run isn't going to end for another 4 months over there. So this was very, prudent planning on their part. They were like, oh, you're signing over there? Well, we'll just hold off on our tapings. We'll air them. This is like when Rick Rude showed up. Were you watching wrestling when that happened?
Where he showed up on WCW? Yeah.
The night after the Montreal Screwjob, they had taped Raw, so he was on Raw and bro, that blew my fucking mind as a kid. I'm like, how is he on both shows?
Yeah, that was wild. We had a question here from Let's Commission 7252. Says, as never openweight champion, does Wolf Aaron need to adapt and lean more into the never style of gritty and hard-hitting style?
I think as a husky man, that's the case.
Yeah. Big, beefy boy.
Not just because he carries the never title. Like, he's a judo guy.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, I watched a video today of some people doing judo training like this. There's this guy I watch on Rich will know him. His name's Sensei Seth Karate. He's on YouTube. He's real funny, but he's like a karate guy, and he does a bunch of different. He goes to different like martial arts and tries them out. And he was learning judo. And bro, everything that they were doing for warm-ups was at least the pro wrestling that I've done. It was the same shit. He was like, yeah, we're doing break falls. I'm like, those are bumps. He was like, we're doing these tripods. And I was like, those are quarter rolls, bro. Like, I'm like, he's doing wrestling training. This is crazy. I'm like, no wonder. You would think as an Olympic judo gold medalist, man would have picked it up. I've heard people say like he's a sponge and he's, like Aaron Wolf, he's just like no ego and he's willing to learn and he's soaking everything up. And I'm like, well, be better, faster,
learn quicker,
do it better.
I do think he has been good. I feel like he has improved a lot of like the in between things and some of his facial expressions. I thought like, he was doing like some of those like the forward roll kind of sequence stuff with Uemura. So I think he's getting there.
No, I thought the Uemura match was very good. I was just hoping it would be like, I just think he's so good at firing up that I'm like, just give him a little bit of what Ice gets.
Yeah.
They're not giving him that part of it, the emotional part of it. And that's where what I want to see a little bit more of from him. There's this really funny episode of Parks and Rec where Tom Haverford goes to like a local art student. He's trying to win some contest, and he's like, make me some art. And he's like, what kind of art do you want me to make? He's like, just fucking make me art. And he's like, tell me a little bit about yourself. And he's like, no. And then later he comes back and he's like, make me more art. Make me art. Like, that's how I feel about like Aaron Wolf. It's like, well, what do you want him to do? What do you want him to be? I don't know, bro. Just do it.
Just be great.
Be great, faster, better. Come on.
I think he's a blade one night.
Oh yeah, bro. That's Ren Narita bladed one time, and he had me thinking for 6 years he was a fantastic wrestler. No quicker way for me to believe, that you're one of the best in the world.
Just run the razor.
They did the GWE, top 100. Abdullah was in there. How the fuck you think Abdullah got into the GWE top 100, bro?
Way of the Blade.
There's a whole book about it.
Yeah.
There's 2 of them.
Well, last but not least here, we got the front man, Zack Sabre Jr., who's sitting at 2-4, 4 points. So night 9 with that quick loss to Ren Narita, and then night 11 defeating Oscar. So kind of a weird tournament for Zack Sabre Jr., and I'll say he's been very good, but he hasn't had like the blowout performances that you would think a great tournament wrestler like Zack would have. And they've also been doing this kind of like downfall story, which it seems like he's going to make a comeback. However, though, he's had 6 matches already, so if he wins his next 3, the highest he can get is 5-4, 10 points. So he's going to need a lot of other people to lose if he wants any chance of getting through.
I don't think they tell that story unless they actually plan for it to be viable going into the final night. So I think you could honestly probably, if you were like doing predictions at this point, you could probably track what Zack would hypothetically need to stay alive and just book that, because that's probably what's going to happen. Now, I'm not saying he's going to get through, although I'm kind of leaning towards him like that very much being a likelihood. But yeah, I mean, that's what I think's happening. I think that they're just doing the classic, like he started at the bottom, took major losses, and then he's finally going to get through at the very, very end here. I don't think that they tell this story just for him to get edged out mathematically at the very end so he can end respectable. I think there's a reason they're telling the story. And beyond that, I do agree with you. I think he's maybe not having as many classic performances as years past, but that's just because Zack is such a great tournament performer. I still think he's the MVP of the B block right now.
Yeah, him or Gabe Kidd?
I don't think Gabe Kidd is. I'm not in the camp. Like, there's those fans who are just like, he's fucking it up. He's having the worst fucking run ever. Like, he sucks, right? I'm not quite there, but I don't think he's having a great tournament. Like, I don't think this is even kind of close to how good Gabe could potentially be in a tournament like this. And I kind of think he's phoning it in a little bit too.
So
I got Zack way ahead of Gabe right now. If anything, I would say like Yuya and Zack are like my top 2 performers in B block right now.
Yeah, so actually in my rankings, I have Yuya as higher than Zack for me, but not by much. So definitely those are 2 of the top performing guys. And I have Kids in the mix there as well. So yeah, those are kind of the 3 top. But
what if you took away the Narita match? What does that do for Zack's tournament at that point?
That probably bumps him up back up.
So I'm saying, like, you take that match out of the mix, what are we looking at?
Yeah. So yeah, I agree with you. I think that if they're telling this whole story with Zack, I think he's going to get through. And again, this is the parity-based block. I think a lot of guys are going to end up at 10, which is what Zack will need to get through. And so I'm sure they're right. If he's going to get through, the math will work out and the tiebreakers will work out. But I think he will. I think he'll at least be alive on the final night with a strong chance of getting through.
Well, I have some thoughts, but we got some questions here, and then we're going to jump into our preview. So let's run through that. Maybe it'll cover some of those thoughts.
Yeah, Mysterious Shower 464 says, looking forward to hearing your thoughts on these shows. The G1 stretch around this point usually has some of the most interesting tournament developments. So curious, which matches stood out the most for you guys?
So I would say that historically, this is seen as like the lull point of the tournament. And I think that still holds true here. Last week we were kind of waxing poetic and saying like, hey, there's been no bad nights whatsoever, yada, yada. Here, it's sort of like there've been great matches, no great shows.
Yeah, and that B block night with the Zack Narita match, that whole night was
that was like the worst night of the tournament so far.
Yeah. But as far as standout matches, I think Kidd versus Hanare from night 11, Goto Takeshita from night 10,
Tsuji
Oiwa from night 10.
And then Tsuji Ice, probably.
Yeah, Tsuji Ice, depending on how you feel about that.
Zack and Oscar.
Yeah.
Those are probably like your top 5.
Yeah. And if you really want to see Sonata getting squashed, Sonata versus Boltin. But yeah, those are your going to be the top matches for this stretch of the tournament so far.
I think of the like 4 nights that we're covering this week, the best show, it kind of depends. I mean, if you were really high on Tsuji Ice and Shingo Goto, that might be your best show of the week. But I felt like regardless of how you felt about those 2 matches, I felt like the undercard wasn't the strongest in terms of tournament matches. Night 11 is probably your best stretch of tournament matches this week, with Wolf Drilla, Zack Oscar, Narita Yuya, that's the low point of the show, but it's probably one of Ren Narita's better matches in the tournament just overall. And then Kidd Hanare was fantastic. So that'd be my vote for like best tournament night this week.
Yeah, it was kind of the Rich Craich special where it's like nothing is blow away, but everything's very good. And you're having, very good matches every night. And so, yeah, it's pretty much what you got with night 11, where some of the other nights peaked very high, but then you would have, Jake Lee versus Yuto Ice, or, Shingo versus Great Okan. So kind of had to pick your poison there.
But to use their terminology, I would still say there was 2 notebook matches on that four match night on that evening.
Yeah. Next question from Let's Question 7252. What wrestling tournament has surprised you with the most amount of points or the least amount of points they have in the tournament as of now? I am surprised that Oscar is at 8 points in high contention since New Japan hasn't had a legitimate monster that's been dominant since probably the days of Lance Archer, and the fact that he's a tag wrestler, and we know the history of tag wrestlers when it comes to points in the G1.
Yeah, him and Hanare in the B block, in terms of how many points they put up, that's been surprising.
Yeah, I would say definitely Hanare, because you mentioned earlier, we've been conditioned to, Rich likes to joke, Liv Morgan will never win. We've been conditioned to Hanare never wins. And so to see that, he was the block leader for so long and still in a very good spot was very surprising.
Goto and Sonata wasn't really surprising. Like, this is where he's at right now is sort of where I thought he would land. But after both of those guys beat the world champion in their block, like, I always thought Goto would be higher than this just in general.
Yeah.
But then when Sonata beat Tsuji, I was like, oh, okay, they're going to give him a little bit of a push, but they're both towards the bottom of the block. I expect for them to turn it around and still end up fairly respectable when it's all said and done, but sort of surprised at how low both of them are. Zack, I'm a little, but not, I mean, it's not where he's at, it's who he's lost to. He has lost to some bigger names, and now he's really like clawing tooth and nail to like come back. So, he's in a little bit more of a desperate spot than I expected.
Yeah, especially because normally you would see like the 3 loss in a row guy comes back. Well, he's had 4 losses in a row, which You do have a little bit more wiggle room to play with two guys going through, but still, that seems like, man, this guy, won a G1 2 years ago, was, world champion recently. So, yeah.
This is, it's payback because he hurt, showed him,
Yeah, I saw some people joking about that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they were like, is this, imagine if this was Gato's way of punishing Zack for, injuring the winner of the tournament.
Was this in our Discord?
Yeah, somebody posted it jokingly about that, but I've seen some other people on Twitter kind of joking about it too.
I was going to say, unfortunately, I don't read any of your guys' shit. I don't really care about my shit.
Next from Unchained Macho Goro 40. Have y'all noticed the shift from the Bushi Roadhouse style of the 2010s into something harkening back to 80s NJPW in a style many of the guys are currently wrestling? You're seeing more KO finishes and non-submission holds, and it's been really refreshing. Oiwa and Uemura are especially 80s NJPW coded.
There's something to that, but I mean, you could probably do that with any era of New Japan and point to things that are occurring. I think that time marches forward. There's like wrinkles that they might add in. What I'm seeing doesn't harken back to the days of like Fujinami and Choshu personally, but there will always be that influence. It is always good to see some of that like influence kind of interject itself. But I mean, I see plenty of 20. If I were to point to any time in the past 5 years post, pandemic, this is the one time I probably could say, oh man, do you see like the renaissance of golden era 2010s New Japan? Like there's DNA of that. But I do see them getting back to to the foundations, the rudiments. I could say the same thing of like 90s. We're seeing a lot of big boys show up in this company. It's been a long 90s New Japan had big bruising, guys. That you could do this with any era. But yeah, I think you're absolutely right. I think that there is some DNA that's there for sure.
Yeah, and I think you mentioned that DNA has always kind of been there, and I think just maybe depending on the roster and kind of where the company is going, that DNA kind of gets heightened or it kind of gets lowered, just kind of depending on who's there. But yeah, I think that's always kind of been the foundation. But yeah, I think we're seeing it. They're kind of leaning a little bit more into it, especially, a guy like Yuya Uemura, who I feel like is a really kind of designed his style off of some of the 80s wrestlers. And yeah, I have been a fan of some of the, different types of finishes. We're seeing, a lot more, these kind of KO, ref stoppage finishes have been interesting to kind of mix it up.
Do you know what it is, Jeremy? And you already know this, but I don't know if you've given this thought before. The thing that's going to keep New Japan, yeah, it's going to change. There's going to be evolutions and growth and things like that. But the thing that makes New Japan is the dojo system.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
AEW doesn't have a dojo system. WWE does. Regardless of how successful it is or not, WWE is micromanagement to a fault. They have a vision for pro wrestling and they control that shit to a point where it's not even really wrestling anymore. Like the way it's agented and called with the referees and the PC, their style is their style. And it is, ironclad. AEW has this really great thing where they allow the guys to go out there freely. Like they do have structure, they do have agents and stuff, but they don't have a dojo system. They don't have a training house whatsoever. Once they get past this period where they have all of these guys in their prime, same thing we've seen in the past, where you go through an era, you have all of these top stars and they're in their prime, and then you get out of it. You might have other guys that come along, but because you don't have that tradition, that DNA, that training house, they're going to change their identity, and it may be good but most often historically it's not good. Most of the time you don't have a way you have to rebuild. And the reason that New Japan has been able to rebuild time and time again is because they've got this tradition, this dojo system that they have never strayed away from. And it's probably the biggest hole that AEW has as a company. The fact that they don't have any sort of training system or any sort of even like a
really kind of.
Yeah, they don't have any of that. And because they don't have that, they will run into issues in the next like 10 years. I don't know exactly when it's going to happen, but they're going to run into a period where these big stars, these big names who made their names elsewhere, they're going to fade out. And when the company is just solely carried by guys like MJF and Hangman and, Swerve, guys that were kind of made there, they're going to run into issues where they're on top and the guys that are under them don't have the same backgrounds. They don't have the same foundation, the working history. They're not going to know how to they won't be able to recreate what they have right now, period. They just won't be able to do it. Logic tells you that. It's going to be an issue for them.
Yeah, it's going to be, especially when you get into an eventual post-elite world where there is no Kenny Omega, no Young Bucks, no Jericho. It's going to be very interesting to see how, the roster kind of adapts and changes in that kind of landscape.
They will need some sort of system in place to train people and to give them the reps and experience that they need. And they've never shown themselves adept at being able to do that.
Yeah. Last question here from Def TWI Angle. Says, I know there's one question that's been on everyone's mind in the subreddit, but most are just too damn cowardly to ask it, but not me. Nope, I'm going to man up, show my token, and ask the question that everyone wants to know. Are we a proper country?
I don't know what he's talking about. I think there's something about people were saying we used to be a proper country and they were showing pictures. But here's the thing. I've seen a few people do it and they've all been different pictures. So I think that they're like I'm inferring that there was an original post that people are making fun of, but I don't really know what they're talking about.
Yeah, I think it's something along the lines of, people are like, we used to be a proper country and kind of showing like, Okada, Bushi, Tanahashi kind of stuff. And I think
I was going to say it was probably like the Bucks and Kenny.
But I think people are kind of, fighting back on that kind of theory with, essentially saying we are a proper country again. And let's look at the output of this G1.
G1's been awesome.
Yeah, I've loved this G1. This has been very enjoyable. Like we said last week, I think this is the best one since 2019. Yeah, it's been really good. Well, let's get into the previews here. So we'll pick back up with action on Thursday, August 6th from Korakuen Hall. So it's going to be night 12. So
finally, people are going to try again. Thank God.
It's going to be an A block night. We got Sonata versus Yuto Ice, Jake Lee versus Great Okan, Hiroki Goto versus Oiwa, Shingo Takagi versus Konosuke Takeshita, and Yota Tsuji versus Boltin Oleg.
Yeah, this is a night that definitely has the potential to be a great night of action. Not just because they're in Korakuen Hall, but because Jake Lee and Great Okan are wrestling each other. So that cancels out their ability to bring other people down. They'll just be bringing each other down. So, Sonata Yuto Ice, who the fuck knows what that looks like? I have no expectations or any, I don't even know what that might be, but it's the opener. So then that leaves us with 3 matches on top that look fire. Goto and Oiwa. That's going to, and bro, this might be the time where Oiwa actually, you know what? It's the time where Oiwa should be getting the win over Goto that we've been saying for so long that he's needed. And he's not going to get it because Goto's so low in the standings. Goto kind of needs to beat him again. So Oiwa still is just never going to beat this guy. But you got Shingo and Takeshita. That's going to be fire. And then Tsuji Boltin feels like it's got to be one of the most important matches of the entire tournament at this point.
Yeah, I think that's going to be a very important matchup for either, kind of a make or break for either guy. It's going to help them. It's going to be a big tiebreaker coming on to the end. And I pulled up the scenario tracker here on sportofprowrestling.com. Shout out to Chris Samsa and Jeremy Sexton. So we can plug in our predictions here and kind of see how that shakes things up.
All right. Well, I got Sonata going over Yuto Ice. Fuck yeah, Ice.
All right.
You're not man enough to throw a chop back. You're not man enough to beat the former ace Sonata. No, I'm just playing. I don't know who's going to win that match.
Yeah, I think Sonata wins. That puts him at 6, and he kind of that puts this kind of everybody kind of in a 6-point block right here.
Jake Lee, Great O'Khan could go either way. I'm going to say Great O'Khan just to get Jake Lee a little lower on the on the points there.
So that bumps O'Khan up to 6. And we said Goto is probably winning.
I don't know. That's a tough one because it's like Oiwa needs that win. He's lost to Goto so many times in both singles and tags.
Mm-hmm.
But Goto's only got 4 points right now.
Yeah. I think
unless you think that he's going to lose to Oiwa here, win his last 2 matches and end with 8 points, but I don't know. It's Goto.
Yeah.
Oiwa does not feel like a guy that they're going to protect much longer through the course of this tournament, I'm guessing.
Yeah, I feel like you kind of got to go Goto here to give him a little bit of credibility.
So I think Shingo could totally beat Takeshita here.
Yeah, I think Shingo's going to win to get him back on track. So that leaves you Boltin and Tsuji.
I'm going Tsuji. I love Oleg Boltin. I don't know, Jeremy. That's the tough call. Right now, it feels to me like Takeshita is a shoo-in, and it's going to come down to, for me, Oleg Boltin, Tsuji, or Shingo getting through. And I am wondering, like, okay, the ace of the company, the champion, like it's a play-in. Should it just be a foregone conclusion that Tsuji gets through? Or are they doing this thing with Oleg Boltin where it's like he's a potential player, and he gets through?
Yeah, I feel like, he's been getting a lot more main events, semi-main events. This is a main event match here this night. We kind of clocked that from night 1. I don't know. It kind of feels like they've been elevating him in this tournament. I could see him beating Tsuji here, and Tsuji having to win the last 2.
Could you do that? Could you have Tsuji lose here? He wins his last 2. He still gets through. He gets through over Oleg Boltin. But you know how we have sort of, or at least me, I've sort of been doing this fantasy booking thing where I'm like, he's going to defend twice over the next few months, blah, 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 former champions.
Mm-hmm.
Could it really just be Oleg Boltin as the guy that ends up challenging him at KOPW? Someone who's at the top of the block with a respectable, point standing. And that's really what this push is leading to, is not a play-in spot, but a title shot.
Yeah, I think you could easily do that. King of Pro Wrestling, Power Struggle. I think you can, even if you want to do a Destruction tour, I don't know what they're doing in September. But yeah, I think you can definitely build Boltin Oleg as a credible champion. And I kind of feel like that's the shift they're going with now.
I hope they do it at Battle Autumn. I'm very torn. That's probably for me the hardest match to call on this entire card is Tsuji and Boltin.
Yeah, that's going to be a toss up. I don't know. I don't know, something about Boltin. I feel like he's going to get this one.
Okay, we'll stick there. I'm not feeling good about it, but that's what it is. What it is.
So then we move on to night 13. So it'll be Saturday, August 8th from the Yokohama Budokan. So we're back to the B block here. So we got Zack Sabre Jr. versus Drilla Maloney, Hanare versus Yu Uemura, Ren Narita versus Aaron Wolf, and Callum Newman versus Oscar in the main event.
So there's no way Drilla beats Zack, especially since if Drilla were to beat Zack, he would have beaten all of his British contemporaries. There's no way they're letting him win the B block or whatever they're calling it.
Yeah.
So Zack's going to get through. I think Yuya beats Hanare.
Yeah, I think that's a lock.
Narita Wolf is a tough one. Because if you wanted to get back to Wolf challenge defending that title again, you can have Ren Narita beat him. But I feel like Wolf should beat Narita.
Yeah, I feel like Wolf should beat him again, and then that keeps them both at 8 points. And then Oscar Callum, that's going to be the interesting one. They're both at 8. I kind of feel like you got to go with Callum, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Huge upset if Oscar were to beat him.
Yeah. So now that would put Newman and Kidd on top of the block at 10. Everybody else at 8. You got Zack at 6. So then that would move on to night 14, which is going to be Sunday, August 9th. From Gunma, we got Jake Lee versus Oiwa, Sonata versus Takeshita, Great Okan versus Yota Tsuji, Hiroki Goto versus Boltin Oleg in the main event, Shingo Takagi versus Yuto Ice.
So Jake Lee, Oiwa at this point, we're pretty much assuming that they're both pretty much like donezo, even if it's not like official. But I don't know. I could probably see Jake Lee like getting the parody booking there and picking up a win.
Yeah, I feel like he's ate a lot of losses until that would put both guys at 6.
Sonata versus Takeshita, it's like Takeshita could like he took the loss the night before. I guess he could lose again, but it's like if he beats Sonata, he's pretty much like cinched up the A block most likely.
Yeah.
That's a tough one. This is night 14, right?
Yes.
And then night 16, let's just look ahead a little bit here. Takeshita is fighting Oiwa on the final night. That's interesting. Actually, let's look at the final night in general. Goto versus Ice, Okan versus Boltin, Lee versus Tsuji, Shingo Sonata, and Takeshita Oiwa. Almost every single one of those matches screams to me like one guy is in play and the other guy is pretty much eliminated, playing spoiler almost across the board.
Yeah.
But if there were to be a scenario based on the point standings right now, where the person that's most likely the B side could still be alive is maybe Takeshita Oiwa, if we were to have Oiwa win all of his remaining, all his matches that we've booked him to lose so far.
Mm-hmm.
I just find that unlikely. So I don't know, man. Like Takeshita, is he going to go back-to-back losses against Sonata? And let's hold off on that one for just a second.
Okay.
So you got Okada and Tsuji. I think Tsuji's winning.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. I think Goto is probably beating Boltin.
At that point, yeah. I mean, if we're assuming Oleg Boltin beat him the night before, he probably needs to lose to Goto. And then I would assume Shingo, he's at 8. If you wanted to keep him alive, he would probably need to win.
Yeah, I think he's making the comeback. So yeah, you go Shingo there.
Okay, so Takeshita, let's talk about this for a second. At this point, the two guys that he would have lost to already in the tournament would be Shingo and Tsuji. So if he were to win here, he finishes at 12 points. And on his final night, those guys who are 1 point off, they all still have a good chance. And Goto still would have a chance. I think you could have Takeshita beat Sonata here and it still all work out and be compelling based on what we've got so far. Don't you think?
Yeah, because you can hit there. You have a Takeshita win. So you have Takeshita going to the final night at 12. So either he beats Oiwa and gets to 14, or Oiwa beats him. He stays at 12.
There are two guys here right now in Tsuji and Shingo, based on how we've booked it out, that if they were both to win on the final night and Takeshita were to lose, he might not even advance. So his block, even though he won this match, his berth is not solid. It's not 100% certain still.
Right. Yeah. Either he gets forced into A2 or potentially out, losing to Oi won last night.
Yeah, so I think that math works. So at that point, basically, based on how we have it, there's just 3 nights over the next week. Lee, Sonata, Okan, Oiwa, and Ice all pretty much done at 6 points. And then you would have Goto at 8, Shingo, Tsuji, Boltin at 10, and Takeshita at 12, and they're all still alive going into the final night. And I think that pretty much jives with what we said earlier, is like every single guy that's out is fighting the guys at the top on the final night.
Yeah.
To play spoilers. And I think that works logistically. I don't know that we have the perfect like booking there, but I think we're probably onto the like right course of where they're going.
Yeah. I think
there's no matches on that final night that scream like, you know,
both guys are alive.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think the hard thing for me now is like figuring out the finals. Like where are they trying to go from there is where I'm struggling.
Oh, I already have my 4 picked out in my head. I didn't know before the show, but I did it already.
So you got...
I don't know the specific order, but I feel pretty confident it's going to be Tsuji, Takeshita, Zack, Yuya.
Okay. And what are you seeing as the final there?
Well, realistically, it could be any of those. Maybe Takeshita, Yuya, Uemura.
Yeah, I feel like if you want to get Yuya over, like Takeshita's got to put him in there against, because also New Japan fans have kind of been like revolting against Takeshita, even with the great matches and being in Hontai. Like if you want a crowd that's fully like raucous and behind Yuya, I think that's what you go with, especially if Yuya's going to win.
Maybe Takeshita and Tsuji.
Well, yeah, maybe that's the reason why Tsuji beat him on the first night, because they're gonna run it back and Takeshi's gonna beat him in the finals.
Before everything popped off the way it did, when I thought that Shota Umino was gonna win the G1, I thought he was going to the finals against Takeshita.
Yeah,
because of like the match they had earlier this year and everything like that. I thought that's the finals we were getting.
Is there any chance of Yota Tsuji getting to the finals and winning?
Yeah, I said that earlier when we were previewing and everything. I was like, you know, we have gotten to this point where they have divorced the winner of the G1 from being strictly confined to it equaling a January 4th Tokyo Dome appearance. You know, like ever since they moved it back to pretty much being a Sumo Hall title defense, you know, the following month. And because of that, you could easily, like for the first time ever in a really, really, really long time, do the champion wins the G1, really solidifying himself as the absolute best in the world. Now, I know there's some people that probably hear that and they either think like it's too much for just one guy, but couple things to consider with that. When New Japan really started to turn around in the in the mid 2000s, like late 2010s, it was because they started to build mythos around Tanahashi and Nakamura and gave them a lot in kayfabe, things that hadn't been seen since like the days of like Hashimoto and Muto. Sometimes you do need to be actually, and think about like WWE, you know, kind of a similar thing. Like when they started feeding all of those wins and accolades to like Orton and Cena, you know, sometimes you do have to do a good job, like building stars, which is like myth building. And the idea that nobody that's been world champion has won this tournament since like 2000, you know, I think only 2 guys have done it. If I'm trying to think off the top of my head, I know Muto did it. And I know Kensuke Sasaki did it, I believe.
I think that sounds right.
I'd have to check. I'm trying to remember if Hashimoto did it as champion or not. But that would be like a huge thing. And then because it's not strictly married to the January 4th show, it opens up the door creatively for you to do whatever the fuck you want to do between now and then. And I feel like some people probably wouldn't like that because they're like, oh, what's the point of the tournament if not to establish the number one contender?
Right.
But here's my retort to that, Jeremy. How many times now, like we went Zack and then was it Takeshita, and those are the last two?
Yes.
Okay. So both of those guys challenged in September?
October at KOPW.
Okay, they both challenged in October and won the title. If you're going to keep up, I think if you were to keep up the October thing, then eventually someone's got to lose that title defense. There's going to be more complaints about the guy winning the G1, losing in October, and then the rest of the build to January getting fucked up. That's going to be that's a conundrum I don't think they even want to get into.
Yeah.
The other way is, we could restore the original tradition, go back to the January 4th thing, and they might still do that. But I just feel like if you want to avoid those two things, you want to do something that's out of left field, you just have Tsuji win it. And if Tsuji were to win it, I know that New Japan in the West is not being viewed as like the hot brand right now, blah, blah, blah. But the reality is, match for match, dollar for dollar, pound for pound, you put this guy Tsuji's resume, I don't care who it is. Listen to me. I'm talking about everybody in AEW and WWE. His resume this year is as good or better than anybody else. Will Ospreay, Swerve Strickland, doesn't matter. He is putting up the same numbers or better. He's in that he's in the Luthez Ric Flair like conversation right now. And if he were to win this tournament and then like go through the rest of the year as like the champion and has like killer defenses, we're probably talking about wrestler of the year. And it's something a lot of people are sleeping on. They don't even see it yet.
Yeah. I feel like, Tsuji's resume is like been very sneaky. When you look it up, it's like, he had both Takeshita matches, both Andrade matches, the Newman matches, the stuff in this G1 with Shingo, Oiwa, Ice. Like, he's just been building up a great resume throughout the year. And it's like, I totally agree with you with the whole like mythos building. It's like, you want to make a star. And it's something we've been saying for a while now with these young guys. Like, you want these guys to get over. You got to push them. Like, they got to beat people. They got to accomplish things. You can't have them be like these pseudo young lions where they're taking years and years to try to accomplish something. And so I think, if you really want to, establish stuff for this generation and kind of this next, era, I think having Tsuji win the G1 was a big thing for him. And, we already kind of started making some Okada comparisons to him. And I think something else, you mentioned, Tanahashi and Nakamura, a lot of myth being built around them. But I think the same thing with Okada, with his legendary title reign and the Rainmaker shot. Like, they gave Okada a lot very quickly, which helped elevate him. Also, Okada's super in-ring talent, but I think also giving him the kayfabe accomplishments, the multiple G1 wins, the New Japan Cup wins, main eventing match at Square Garden, being Tanahashi, something like they gave him so much that established him as a legend. So I think you can do that easily with the run that Tsuji's on if he were to win this G1 and go into the Dome as champion. You really make him as a big bad that everybody has to chase, and then he kind of becomes like this era's Okada, where like he's a dominant guy, he's winning all the accolades, and you need somebody that's going to try and knock him off.
I 100% agree. And here's the thing: the only reason I agree with you. The only reason I didn't use Okada is because Okada came into an environment that was chock full of ready-made guys, whereas like Tanahashi and Nakamura, when they were doing that with them in like the mid 2000s, it was when the company was in a down point, and that's closer where we're at. Yeah. But you're absolutely right. Like, when they were rebuilding, that's what they did with Okada. And here's the thing with all of that is like, I know everyone wants all, like we talked about how like there's this log jam, there's all of this talent from the Reiwa generation, and everybody has the guys that they like. They're special guys, to steal a term from the Tunnel Talk girls. And you want to see all of them pushed, but the reality is you can't push everybody at the same level all at the same time. Otherwise, nobody gets over.
Right.
Right now, it's Tsuji's time. Very soon, it will probably be Shota Umino or Yuya Uemura, whoever, or Oleg Boltin or whoever's time, but you can't do all of them simultaneously. I'm not saying Tsuji's going to win, but if you really wanted to go full bore with a guy and like set up that mythos, that is how you would do it. And the best way to do it, you put him in there with Takeshita again, and he
beat him again.
beats him again.
3 times in 1 year.
But yeah, man. I mean, look at this. Like both Takeshita matches, the Oiwa match, the Yuto Ice match, which, you know, I'm low man on that, but still, both Andrade matches, the Goto match, the Shingo match, and then both Callum Newman matches, all, and then the Sonata match all this year. That's his. And then I haven't even seen this match, but he's got a WXW singles match against a guy named Peter Tiani that is like basically like rated around 4 stars.
Yeah, so just incredible year. And I mean, he has the Boltin match to come, and some other guys here in G1, and then you gotta think he's gonna have a pretty active fall as well. So yeah, I think his 2026 it's just been great, and I think he's obviously gonna be a big favorite for our Wrestler of the Year award.
Jeremy, before we close out, who are your final 4? What are your predictions as of right now? I know we still got another like week to go.
Yeah, I don't know. I still think that
coward.
I feel like, and this is what I was saying in the preview, I feel like Tsuji and Takeshita were kind of like the chalk picks, but something about Boltin, I feel like somehow he's going to sneak through. And so I don't know if that means no Tsuji or no Takeshita, but I've kind of I feel like I'm starting to talk myself into Tsuji potentially winning this whole thing, because I feel like it's his tournament to win. And like if he wasn't champion, I'd be like, yeah, let's have him win it. But
Bro, we talked about it when this whole thing started, and then the weeks subsequent, we were like, it does not look wide open for anybody to win. Like it is such a difficult tournament to predict, and it's such a difficult road to Wrestle Kingdom. Here's one thing I'll throw out there. The prevailing belief behind the scenes, I don't know that this is true. It's not something I heard firsthand, but it's just something that I kept hearing thrown around time and time again. I never mention it on the air. Other people have, but it's just the scuttlebutt that was behind the scenes. A lot of people, the talk and belief was that we were, regardless of who won the G1, that we were eventually heading to a Shota Umino and Yota Tsuji Wrestle Kingdom, main event. Some people thought, a lot of people thought that meant Shota Umino wins the G1. As you and I have already discussed, there's a lot of ways in this new modern era to get to a Wrestle Kingdom main event beyond just, guy A wins the G1. What if Shota Umino getting hurt has never changed anything about who was winning this tournament, because it was always going to be Yota Tsuji.
Yeah.
And then the build was going to be somehow Shota Umino claws his way to a title match in January.
Yeah, that could have been it. 'Cause I do feel like for Umino, unfortunately, like giving him too much, I feel like the crowd rejects that. And so I feel like, yeah, you really do have to make him scratch and claw and earn it. Unlike what he did with Zack Sabre Jr. just walking out. Like, I feel like he needs to, kind of walk the road of where, yeah, he's facing. And I think now it's set up perfectly. Like, if they go that route, he can, face everybody that he should have faced in G1 in the build of Wrestle Kingdom and beat them all and be like, all right, I beat my whole block that I should have been in. I would have won B block. I would have won G1. So I deserve my title shot. And so I think there's a story there you can build.
Yeah, I just Googled it just to be sure. And what I said earlier is accurate. Muto was champion. He won it in 95. Kensuke Sasaki was champion. He won it in 2000. They're the only 2 IWGP heavyweight champions that have ever won this tournament. Unless of course, if you want to throw in some MSG leagues and some real world tournaments, then I don't know. Inoki probably was NWF and martial arts champion simultaneously and winning all that shit, but we don't count that. But I mean, bro, they broke the records during the New Japan Cup earlier this year with Callum Newman. If you wanted to, do something, basically, if you wanted to have Yota Tsuji on paper usurp all of the greats that have come before him over the past, 15 or so years, he'd be able to be like, Okada never did this. Tanahashi never did this.
Naito,
Kenny
Nakamura,
Omega, Kenny Omega, Jay White. You talk about like, oh, they did everything that there was to do. They did everything there was to do, and they had nothing left to do. Never won this tournament as champion.
Yeah. Yeah,
bro. I hope they do. I hope Soji wins the fucking tournament.
The more we talk about it, I'm like, yes, like this man needs to go to the finals and win.
But if that were the case, who in your ideal situation? I know I was being facetious a little bit. I was like, okay, it needs to be Takeshita, but like, look at the offerings from B Block and then look at whoever ideally from A Block that's still alive. Who would you want him to go to the finals against to beat?
I would say either Zack or Uemura.
That's the name that sticks out to me.
And I think Zack makes a ton of sense because Zack beat him to win the G1. So you could do, a finals rematch. And then I think people would be like, oh, Zack's probably going to win again because Tsuji's champion. Then you just have Tsuji beat him. Tsuji gets the win back and wins G1. I think that could be interesting.
I feel like if it's Zack, it's a little bit too like, the story is there, the expectation is there, but it's also a little telegraphing because there are going to be those people who are like, Zack already beat him. He's probably going to beat Zack. And it's pretty much like they're telegraphing it a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
But with the Yuya situation, it's like, okay, these guys, they're like each other's like ultimate rivals.
Mm-hmm.
There is going to be the belief and expectation that Yuya needs to be made into a star and needs to be elevated, and this is his time and he needs to beat him. And if he beats Yuya Uemura there, people are going to be they will be so angry, bro.
I'm here for it.
I mean, bro, I am too, but I'm just thinking about the discourse. And
people are going to be
the
hot.
Vitriol. They'll be, bro. And then they'll be like, why the fuck would you put him in this position to fail at this point? But it's like, I don't know, man. The what's the alternative? Him and Shingo?
Yeah. And
Yeah.
another Okada comparison. People always be pissed when Okada would win stuff. And then
he fucked up all his contemporaries. He fucked up, Goto and Naito. Those guys couldn't hold a candle to him.
Yeah, and business started doing well. So maybe, Tsuji need to do the same thing.
All right, bro. 2026, the year of Tsuji, bro. Let's fucking go.
Let's go.
You know what happened? I'll tell you what happened. A woman won the Tokyo Sports MVP award last year. And Geto was like, never again. We can't live this down. This is not going to happen. I don't care how much we need to spam awards, titles, wins on somebody. But goddamn, this shit's not happening again. Tsuji, you're about to be, get ready, MVP. All right.
We giving you the V4. You're gonna win this G1.
You're going to go over 2 top AEW talents twice in the same year. And when G1 is champion, fuck that shit.
Oh, man. All right. Well, that's going to wrap it up. Next week, we'll be back to review nights 12 through 14 and cover all this news. So remember, if you want to watch our show live or listen without ads, sign up at patreon.com/KI Strong Style. You can also make a donation by visiting socialsuplex.com/donate and click on the donate button under the Keeping It Strong Style logo. And make sure to connect with us on social media on X and Blue Sky. Follow us at KI Strong Style, at Socialsuplex, at Jeremy Donovan, at YB_Josh and Liger. On Facebook, follow us at facebook.com/social suplex and the Wrestling Squared Circle Facebook group. On Reddit, I'm the Pro Black Guy, just keeping strong style. On YouTube, we're at Social Suplex. And join our Social Suplex Discord server to interact with us and other wrestling fans. Email me, Jeremy, at socialsuplex.com. And check out all the shows that we have here on the network. One Nation Radio with Rich Latta and James Boyd. All Things Elite with Floyd and Austin. Imps AEW Adventure. Wrestling Art with Chris Slings. The AEW Match Guy with Cersei and Brown. Tone Talk with Ali and Leah. The Trish and Sarah Wrestling Podcast. And Joshin Around with Tim and Eric. Don't forget to subscribe and leave a rating and review. And we will catch you next week on Keeping a Strong Style, the ace of podcasts.
Ichiban.
Thank you for listening to Keepin' It Strong Style. We'll see you next time.